Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews podcast number 24.
Number 24!
I'm Gary.
I'm Iain.
And I'm Linda.
Hey Linda, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Gary.
And of course, with an Off the Shelf Reviews podcast, we're going to catch up on recent films and games we've been playing. We're going to talk about the latest film news and trailers. The theme for this month is musicals.
Woohoo!
And finally, in the third part of the podcast, we will be answering your questions.
Woohoo!
However, there is an important question that has come up, and before we jump into the catch-up, there is a question that David Evans posted.
Hey, David.
And it is relevant, so I'll read his question. It is, and I don't mean to bring a downer, but with the whole Article 13 debacle on the horizon, threatening YouTubers who are perfectly within their right to offer critique, what are your guys' thoughts on it, and how can we all help to stop it?
What the fuck is Article 13?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Ian, because I've got some text here straight from YouTube.
Okay.
Now, Article 13 is one part of a proposed European Union copyright legislation created with the intent to better protect creativity and find effective ways for copyright holders to protect their content online. So, what that is essentially saying is that corporations want to control all of their properties.
Don't they do that already?
Well, kind of. You know, at the moment, you can argue that they abuse the YouTube system as it is to place unfair copyright strikes and takedowns on videos which do meet the fair use criteria.
Right, yeah.
This system, should it come into effect, will go, hey YouTube, you are now responsible for all of this content which is illegal. So take it down or we sue you. So YouTube will now have no choice but to remove, it's estimated, 99% of its content, so that the only videos on YouTube will come from actual corporations like, CNN, BBC, know, it will just be corporate run.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously we've been battling the copyright issues with YouTube for years, and the way I understand it is that they are wanting to majorly crack down on the people who use YouTube as the tool to show the products that these corporations are obviously trying to protect. Like, how many times do you go on YouTube and
a full movie is there,
and a full
That's
movie
the big
is
problem,
there,
isn't
or
it?
the full movie has, or the YouTube channel you go to has a link to a website which is showing that movie. Mm-hmm. And we always say that it pisses us off that we get flagged like all the time and stay within the restrictions, but these websites
often or not, those videos that are there in their entirety have already been copyright managed by the copyright holder. So that video is just generating revenue for its own company.
Yeah.
And they have just decided, you know what, we'll leave the video on YouTube because it's making us money.
Yeah.
And so they also want everybody else's money. They want, but the thing is it's not just YouTube that's going to be affected. Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, Dailymotion, Reddit, Snapchat, all of these are going to be infringing copyright. Memes. It will be the death of memes. Memes will be illegal.
See, that blew my mind when Linda...
We've talked about this, about how on earth are they going to manage that?
They want control of the internet, and that is the big picture. Article 13 is, it's just Article 13. It's like, what is that? It doesn't even have a name. It's just something they can just subtly get into the courts, debate it, vote for it, it gets passed. The people passing it don't really know what it's done. Before you know it, you have to pay to go to different websites because a different corporation owns this chunk of the internet. Different company owns this chunk of the internet. It won't be free anymore.
I read a thing about it was somebody, some high up in YouTube, and she was saying, lady, how difficult it was going to be to actually manage this, and the fact that they keep changing their mind, goalposts on it anyway in the Article 13, because initially they were saying that, they were suggesting that they use automated ways,
which is what they do at the moment.
What they do at the moment. But then they wrote something, I can't remember what it said exactly, about the fact that, they would advise against that, not doing that. And then she was saying, well, actually... How are you going to actually manage this? You can't just hire an office full of people to do this.
You can. You can if you want to, and that's what we've always said. When we get flagged on YouTube for obviously our 6-second clips that we're at, it's an automated system half the time, it's somebody actually sat there looking through the whole.
And they are employed to earn money for their companies, so that they flag it whatever.
Yeah, I think this... I'm going to be devil's advocate here, and I think this is actually a good move, mainly because there are... and Gary's looking at me like that. Now, we sit down and we review a film, and yes, we do use footage from the film, but only to emphasize our points that we are making. If I'm telling you about a certain sequence in a film, I want you to see that sequence so that you know that I'm actually right or wrong in how I'm reiterating it to you. You go to anybody else, and I don't watch them for these sole reasons, but you go to anybody else and it is just footage after footage after footage after footage after footage. There's no point of actually watching the film because the 20-minute video you've just watched, the guy has had it in a tiny little screen behind him showing the entire movie. And that, I say, would infringe on copyright, because if somebody came up with a video of their own that they put on YouTube and shown us off the shelf in a tiny little screen behind them, that's infringing on copyright. But then they would argue, well, no, I scrutinized it, I brought it down, I borderlined it, I just put it in the background, and it's more about me. And it's like, no, it's not about you, because you've got this footage in the background. If it's about you, just make it about you. That's what we try to do with Off the Shelf. We would love to just do a complete raw video of just us talking about the film, but the amount of time Gary sneezes and my accent goes all over the place, and you don't want to watch our guffaws and fucking stupid.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do now, Ian. Now that you said they happen.
But that's it. And like I said, we only use parts of the film to emphasize the sequences and to more advertise the movie for said company. That's the problem we've got, is the company needs to understand that Off the Shelf Reviews are trying to promote the film for them.
Most of the time. I mean, I don't see you promoting Chud anytime soon, Ian.
No, I don't see you promoting fucking Sucker Punch or fucking Cabin Fever.
The fact that we've done a video about it is promotion for it enough, but that is one of the things that this article doesn't seem to understand, is that with the amount of critics and journalists and reviewers that are now on YouTube,
yes,
there are so many films that are now getting promotion that otherwise wouldn't.
Yes.
There's so many independent films that now get talked about on YouTube. It is like a massive platform to advertise and discuss and talk about films that most people wouldn't ever come across.
Well, let's
so taking it away could actually damage the film industry, the entertainment industry.
It might do.
Because all those links point to people to go and then find the actual product themselves to buy it.
Those rare films are probably not going to sign up or care about this kind of stuff. Yes, the company will want the money from their rare film from being used, but how many critics and reviewers at the moment are literally walking in a cinema day one of a film release and then walking out and sticking a video up and dissing the film, destroying the film? And that has such a turnaround, to the cinema itself and the actors and the producers and all the people working on the film, that they're not making any money for this great movie they've made because somebody's gone in, come right back out, dropped a video and gone...
Well, whatever they say is besides the point. It's the fact that you are still able to go and do that at the moment.
Yes, I understand the whole freedom of speech value.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in the world that we live in, and with certain conflicts and stuff going all over the world, it has to be a global thing.
Well, it has
freedom
to be.
Freedom of speech has to be a global thing.
Right now, it's only affecting the European Union, which will massively affect other creators too, because
we're not even going to be part of the European Union.
No, but the law will still apply to the United Kingdom. It's going to fall. We're going to fall under the same law.
We were saying this before. It's just the same as what's happened with the GDPR, and that came out of Europe, and actually that's affected not just Europe, but it's also affected companies in America and other parts of the world, because if they want to display or collect any information off their websites, and it's coming from Europe, like people that are in Europe, then they've got to abide by those laws as well. So
it will massively affect all American producers as well, because they will lose a massive chunk of their audience, and all of their videos will also get blocked because they're not allowed to be shown in the European Union. And under new YouTube law, any video that gets blocked in the European Union will be removed, or those channels will just be terminated instantly, because otherwise YouTube can be sued because of them.
This is what I said. I said this wouldn't majorly affect us, because if it got to a point where YouTube turned around and said, you cannot use any footage.
Well, no, if it got to that point, our channel would just be terminated instantly.
No, it fucking wouldn't. I'd sit there in front of the camera myself
Well, no, but
and
the
do
channel
it raw. Because
but the channel itself would be terminated. We'd have to start a new
You'd have to
channel.
start
yeah, but we
brand
talked
new.
about this with Andy in a couple of podcasts ago. Off the Shelf Reviews 2.
Well, yeah, it would.
That would be the name
It
of
would
the new
be the
channel.
return.
It would be the return off the shelf reviews.
But could it actually, if it was really enforced, like properly, with the intention that they're saying, could it actually be the death of YouTube?
It could be. It could actually kill the platform because there would be no reason for people to need to go to it anymore.
Yes, but there would be a new platform. People would sign up to these companies. These companies would realise how much revenue they would lose after a while, and then they would say, right, okay, one of them would say, right, let's make our own platform for people to come on. Oh, what would we call it? We'll call it UsTube, or a company tube, and people would end up signing up to be able to use their footage, and it would become like a symbiotic relationship. You're now working with the company to be able to promote yourself.
It'd be very, very difficult for other video platform companies to exist like YouTube because all of YouTube's competitors failed.
Yes.
All of them.
Yeah.
Because it's unsustainable.
I understand that, but in this new PC generation that we're living in, we want peace and love all around the world.
And
We've
free
got to
internet.
Yes,
we want free internet.
Right.
Get those greedy corporations away from our internet.
You cannot have peace and love and free internet. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you can.
No, you can't. Because
all right, well, we're definitely not getting peace and love. So I'll take free fucking internet.
We'll take free internet, yeah.
So I'm gonna put Article 13 behind us.
Yes.
I'm sure it'll come back around later anyway.
Yes.
So let's get to the catch-up section. Some of the good things we've been watching or playing recently.
Yes, yeah. What have we done? Do you want to go first, or shall I? Or
well, if I start talking, it might just fill the rest of the podcast.
Take it away, Linda. I'll go first. On Friday, was it Friday? No, Thursday. I don't know what day it is. What day are we? Saturday. But Thursday, I think when it was released, I watched Christmas Chronicle with...
Yes.
Oh wow, it's
Kurt,
out. It's out.
Motherfucking Russell.
Yes.
Yeah.
We went
I
and
watched it without him.
We went and watched Escape from New York in the cinema, and it was absolutely amazing. And I came in the house, and I'm thinking, all right, I've got to be quiet. The wife's probably upstairs, settling down, going to sleep. So I'll make some food, and I'll sneak up the stairs quietly because I've got to get ready to go bed because I've got work tomorrow. And I walk into the bedroom. She's still awake. Hi, dear. And I turn, and all I see
is
Kurt Russell in the last 15 minutes of Christmas Chronicles dressed as Santa Claus. And I'm like,
oh, he was amazing.
You watched this without me.
Betrayal.
Honestly, if you haven't seen it, definitely you've got to watch it.
I'm saving it for Christmas.
That's my first Christmas movie of the year.
Awesome.
And amazing. He is Father Christmas.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
That's it. There are no others.
Like, I only caught the last 15 minutes, but that last 15 minutes was the most heartwarming, Christmas-filled.
That's where all the sentimentality gets crammed.
And love the twist at the end.
Two things. I'm just going two spoilers. I'm gonna drop.
Oh,
right?
God. Man, I haven't seen it yet.
I know.
Alert.
It's not much. Only two spoilers, right? First off, when
Kurt Russell was Santa Claus.
When Kurt Russell drops the ho ho ho, you're like, yeah, motherfucker, that man.
He only does it once.
It don't matter. I caught it, and he's just saying I don't do it, and then he's like, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, and he's off, and I'm like, that's awesome. And then him singing, Jingle Back in Town, I think it is. It's definitely a rock version of a Christmas song, and it's actually Kurt Russell singing it.
Awesome. Well, he sings earlier. You didn't see it.
I didn't see that. But
there is another scene earlier where he sings, and it is amazing.
Yeah,
wow,
it's really good.
Was that I said to you? I said, "Oh, we've got the grandkids coming down for Christmas. Can I sit them down and introduce them to Kurt Russell?"
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. You can now.
Awesome.
No, fine.
And then I said, so when I turned to Miley, who's 8 years old, and I'm like, "No, Miley, it's Kurt motherfucking Russell."
Can't do that.
You say it's Kurt MF Russell?
Yeah, Kurt MF Russell.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Well, my mother is on Facebook.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I have to be careful.
Yes.
It's all said with respect.
Oh my God, 50 years old and I can't swear on Facebook because of my mother. That's terrible, isn't it?
Honey, the rules you have still with your mother are amazing.
I know.
But, let's not go into that. That's deep family stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I did this week.
Nice, very good. Ian, I believe you just completed a series of... I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, man. Obviously, for a lot of the shelfers know it was my birthday in November, so I want to thank you all for giving me all the love and praise and fist bumps and all that for for my birthday, and obviously I'm going to give it all to you when it's your birthdays too. But I got some really cool shit for my birthday. I got a Ashy Slashy hand puppet from my awesome wife. I got Red Dead Redemption 2, which obviously we'll bring up in a minute with Gary. Gary got me 4 Dark Horse, The Thing from Another World comic books for my birthday, which are obviously 4 of a series, and 3 of them are still sealed in the package. Because I opened the first package and ripped the plastic, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want to touch it anymore. And I still read the comic and put it back, but I'm looking at this plastic and I'm like, oh my god, I just don't want to rip the others. But my friend Tom took me, paid for my tickets to see the 4 John Carpenter movies that they were releasing in the cinema on 4K. I saw Halloween. I didn't see The Fog because it was too late and I had to go work.
I got to see The Fog.
You saw The Fog. I saw They Live.
Saw They Live.
Prince of Darkness.
I missed that one.
And Escape from New York. And we always say it. I mean, this is a film review channel. You know, we're all film fans here. There's always that time where you say, I wish I'd seen that in the cinema.
Yes. Said it a lot.
I wish I'd seen that film the first time it was released in the cinema. And, you know, I've said it for so many movies, but to be able to go and see John Carpenter movies in the cinema was just like a life-changing event.
With the surround sound, the 4K restorations, they were fantastic, and they still hold up. I mean, there's a few bits that I laughed at because the effects are really bad, but it's part of the charm. You enjoy it.
You're coming off the back of Avengers Infinity War this year, and you watch Snake Plissken in the cinema jump through that wall, and you're like, special effects, guys. Special effects. But Prince of Darkness, I have to say, all 4 of them were brilliant, and I wish I'd seen The Fog, but I didn't.
The Fog's the one I enjoyed the most.
Man, I think you would have loved Prince of Darkness if you got to see it.
I was ill that week.
The music just made all the scenes. John Carpenter's music is just absolutely amazing, and being sat in the cinema, hearing it all in the surround sound. I mean, I'm thinking about The Fog now, and that boom, boom when the fog's rolling across the hills must have been amazing.
It was so good, so good.
But yeah, I saw that. I finally caught up with Ash vs. Evil Dead season 3.
Finally, you've seen the conclusion.
Awesome!
I
watched them all in practically one night. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it's about 2.5, 3 hours, I guess, to get through them all. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they know my verdict. What did you think, dear?
Oh, I loved it.
Absolutely, it was so bittersweet at the end though, because you're just like, no, don't be cancelled. Like, we've fought for years, decades, waiting for Evil Dead to be revived, and it was only for it just to be cancelled.
Although I did like that link, kind of, that goes back to the original movie, obviously being like in the cave with the car. And stuff like that.
Yes, because that's the thing. It's like Army of Darkness. When it ends, you're just like, oh, it's so set up for more. Yeah. And now this has ended. Like, wow, you've gone in another direction. Let's see it.
See, right, okay. So we watched Ash vs. Evil Dead season 3, and for those of you who haven't seen it, please turn it off now and skip ahead 5 minutes or whatever. But I have to ask this question because it was bugging me throughout the whole series. I loved it, but when the fuck did he make that girl pregnant for his daughter?
Well, how old was she?
She was what, about 18? 16, 18? She was in school?
Yeah, she was in high school.
But between the years of Ash after Evil Dead 2, because Army of Darkness didn't happen, or even Evil Dead 2 may not have happened.
Well, this is it.
The weird timeline.
The weird timeline, But he went taking drugs and drinking and just sleeping with loose women that whole duration right until the series starts.
It must be after Army of Darkness because he's got his metal hand. Okay? And he did travel back in time in the 2nd season to Dr. Nobi's cabin. And when they came back, I think that is where they shifted. Something happened in the timeline, because trying to actually figure out in my head of when you see the flashbacks and he's like, oh man, I don't even remember it. I'm like, because he's got this big handlebar mustache on, like he's in the 70s.
That's what I thought was weird.
And I'm thinking, well, she's 18, so it must be the early 2000s. So he must have come back after Army of Darkness, lived his life, found the book, hidden out, ended up having sex with this woman, making her pregnant, fucking off, doing all of his shit, and ended up in the caravan season 1.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could figure it.
Yeah.
And then it just bummed the fuck out of me when the season ended and he's just had his moment with his daughter. She's lost a couple of fingers and you're like, I can't wait for her to get a metal hand. You know? And,
there was that scene, wasn't it? There was that scene where she obviously she wasn't real, was it? It was hallucinating, where she's going to cut her.
Yes, she's going to go cut her hand off
because it got ill infected. Yeah.
But Pablo, oh god, Pablo and Kelly, they were
great. Yeah, it was a great show.
It's a great show.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's ended so soon. Speaking of great shows that I thought had just ended, American Horror Story Series 8, Season 8.
That's never going to end. I'm telling you now.
Well,
it's never going to end.
I believed it was going to be the last one. This Season 8 was called Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it went back to Season 1 of the show. It went back to the same location, revisited the same characters.
Okay.
It went back to Season 5, revisit some of the same characters. Some of the characters that you loved in previous seasons that had died got resurrected in this season. And so you're seeing characters from all the different seasons that have been played by the same actor or different actors, actresses throughout, all culminate in the nuclear apocalypse, the fallout, when the nuclear bombs drop, the world ends.
Okay.
And then the show does lots of flashbacks and carries on. But the way it encompassed and revisited all of those previous seasons and then tied that bigger picture, it just blew my mind. And they also brought back the actress that retired after the first 4 seasons, Jessica Lange.
Oh, yeah. Nice,
and, you know, when she just turned up, I was like, fuck, you know, they've gone back to Season 1. Of course she would be there. They got the actress back. I was crying. I was in tears. She is such a good gives such good performances.
Yeah.
And the show itself was just really, really good. And when it finished, I was like, wow, now I want to go back and watch the whole 8 seasons
Is it bad
again.
That we haven't watched it?
No, it's not. I don't watch it because it's scary. And I never said to you about watching it because I figured you get scared of it as well. But honey,
it's a great. I mean, we love our anthology movies. This is an anthology series, but when you've now realised that it's more than just a different story each time, that they all connect.
It's like the first season is ghosts, the second season is witches. There's a freak show circus. There's a fucking hotel full of vampires.
Roanoke disappearance, the apocalypse.
You know the
insane asylum.
Yeah, there's all this crazy shit that when he was telling me all about it for every season, I've just watched this, I've just watched that. I was just like, I don't really want to watch this.
Some of it is really messed up, and some of the actors on there, like Evan Peters, has said he doesn't. He loves working on the show, but doesn't really want to work on it anymore because of the dark characters and places he's had to visit. And he said he's taken that home with him now, and it's affecting him.
That's it.
And it is dark.
I mean, when we were in the cinema, I think they showed that advert, didn't they, for the John Clancy? Is it Tom Clancy TV series? And that guy's watching his TV series, and he starts working out. He's working on this rowing machine, and then his skills getting bigger, and it's like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. Yeah. When I watched that advert, and I've seen it a couple of times, I think of shows like American Horror Story, and I think, what skills would you develop watching that? Yeah, why don't they show that? Because when you see this guy in the advert nailing this fence, and he's building it, half of me is like, he's going to kill his family. You know, because he's got this deadly intense stare, like, I've become Tom Clancy. It's the same look he gets when he finishes American Horror Story.
Well, I also want to give a shout out to Billy Catherine Lord.
Okay.
Who was fantastic in the last series of American Horror Story. If you don't know who she is the daughter of Carrie Fisher.
Oh.
And I didn't actually realise it until the show, the season had finished, and I was looking up because I was like, I want to know who she is, where she's come from. She was in the last Star Wars movie as well. She is one of the... I can see her face, but I can't remember the character she played, but she's in the revamped story. She's not a big part. She's like one of the bridge crew.
Oh, right, okay.
But she was there. But she was really good in this series. She had a lot of emoting to do. And then I found out, of course, that she did this season after her mother and grandmother had just passed away.
Yeah.
And she was, she got to go through all of those emotions portraying this character, and that's why I think her performance in that series was so good.
Yeah.
So gripping.
Nice.
Staying on the horror track.
Yes.
I made a promise last podcast, and I've kept my promise.
So you watched Hereditary?
I watched Hereditary.
Wait, but you didn't go see Creed 2?
No, I mean, I was supposed to go see Creed 2 last night, and only to find out that it's not coming out in the UK for like another week. Okay. So we get like we're 2 weeks behind the States for its release. So, for fuck's sake, all excited to go for it and everything, so I gotta wait.
Yeah.
And because I'm going with Andy, and Andy's not available next week, I've got to wait another week and a half. It's like, I'm gonna So I'm going to stay away from spoilers.
But yeah, so Hereditary, what did you think?
Well, it's from director Ari Aster.
Yeah.
And I've not seen... He's got like 12 directing credits under his name. I've not seen any of his other films.
Okay.
But it starred Toni Collette and Gabriel Byrne.
I was very shocked when I read Gabriel Byrne was in it.
Gabriel Byrne is almost... He's almost non-existent in the entire film. He is really retreated inside himself throughout the whole film, so he doesn't get violent, he doesn't shout. When things are going crazy around him, he is just deadpan. He's like not reacting properly.
I haven't seen it. I wikied it, and obviously I wikied it before you watched it. Is it like...
Sorry, Ian and his wikiing.
But, well, I mean, it's like reading a book, I get the gist of the story. Was it like he was in the background...
Pretty much,
and yet wasn't.
He had two major scenes, but compared to Toni Collette,
Toni Collette's like the main.
Toni Collette has large sequences of the film where she's having a breakdown.
Yeah.
Now her mother has just passed away at the beginning of the film, and she's struggling to deal with it.
Yeah.
She has a family, which kind of the two kids don't connect with her very well. The youngest daughter, who is 13, is really connected with the grandmother who's passed away.
Yeah.
Was raised by the grandmother, essentially. When she, the Toni Collette's character, when she was, you don't see it in the film, but she sleepwalks. And at one point before the film had started, she'd gone into her kid's room, poured paint thinner all over them all, and then struck a match, which woke her up. Which has psychologically damaged the family before the film's even begun. So you find this stuff out as the film's going.
Yeah.
And the film is very good in the fact that you think it is a psychological drama. It's about depression. It's about grief. It's about suffering the loss of loved ones.
But it's also a lot more than that.
There's a lot more going on that the layers keep building to it. And it is a supernatural-esque horror movie.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, it's also not, and it is. I don't want to go into the
no,
end
we're
spoilers.
not
but the
film,
the first hour and a half of the film, there's really nothing scary. But the film is filmed and edited in a way of a horror movie.
Yes.
Right.
So no real jump scares,
Yeah.
but lots of emotion and lots of things where you think horror moment's going to happen. Yeah. But it's building up your own psychological, defenses and things, and so you're wondering what's
getting
happening
ready
with
to
the characters.
tear them down as well.
But horrific things happen to the family, which are accidents.
Yeah.
Or are they? And you watch the consequences affect the family, and then they want to communicate to loved ones using mediums and
right.
But the way that it's filmed is very good. Now, I was immediately impressed by the film with its opening shot, which is the camera sort of pans around all of these miniature sort of doll houses, but very, very lots of detail in all of them.
Yeah.
And eventually the camera pans around one dollhouse and zooms all the way into the bedroom, and then that's it. You're in the in the bedroom of the house of the characters.
Yeah.
And, the Toni Collette's character, she makes those miniatures throughout, that's her career. That's what she does. And so it's like you're looking in at a dollhouse, essentially, like an audience member watching the... And it's very well layered. It's very well done. I take it back. I thought Hereditary was just going to be another one of those, one of those shitty horror movies.
You saw people coming out, and you were like, "Yeah, it's going to be a shitty horror movie."
And I'm pissed off. The reason why it's because of the trailer, and the trailer shows all of the heightened moments that happen in the last 10 minutes of the film.
Yes,
which is what put me off.
But I watched the trailer and thought it was one way, and then wikied it and realised that I wasn't even fucking close.
I watched the film with our friend Jason Big Ed, and obviously I knew the synopsis of the film going into it, but still wasn't expecting what I was going to get.
Yes.
He kept turning to me and saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" He was like, "I thought the film was going to go one way, and then it went another."
Totally different.
It's not as messed up as Mandy, but it's,
no. But I think it was a powerful film. Really well acted. Toni Collette was just fantastic.
She is good.
She is good. So I definitely recommend Hereditary, and thank you, Off the Shelfers, for pressing me into actually watching it.
Yeah, I knew it was good.
Straight afterwards, I did watch another film. I was like, I need something just a little bit off kilter, something that I'm kind of looking forward to as well.
Yeah.
Since childhood, I've loved Muppets and puppets.
Right, okay.
And so it was time for me to watch the Happytime Murders.
Oh yeah, with your girlfriend Melissa McCarthy in it.
Yeah.
He loves her.
Does he?
It was Elizabeth Banks, man. I mean, how can you not watch an Elizabeth Banks movie?
Don't bullshit the Shelfers. Everybody knows you love Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, I like Melissa
That's why
McCarthy.
you watch Ghostbusters a lot.
No, Jesus. It was gross. It was crass. It was silly. It was stupid. But I had a good time. You know, I've never seen a film where Muppets, see the end of double barrel shotguns.
Yes.
I've never watched a Muppet get torn apart by dogs.
Yes. Yeah.
It is horrific when they're screaming. There is a scenario that gets introduced into the film as to, can you imagine what happens to Muppets that get sent to prison?
I think I remember seeing the trailers for this now.
Can you imagine what would happen to a Muppet if it got raped repeatedly in a prison? And what would happen to the stuffing inside of it?
No.
It is a horror. It is. You don't see it in the film,
I'm
but
assuming crusty.
But
Just crustiness.
it describes them as being like a bag of mashed potatoes.
Is it as bad?
In Muppet skin.
Is it as bad as the orgy scene in Sausage Pie?
Yeah.
No, Sausage Pie orgy scene takes the cake for insane, grotesque humour.
Our faces in that.
Because that is funny to the point where it stops being funny to the point where it starts being funny again.
I couldn't get my mind off the baby carrots.
Yes, yeah.
I was just like, we've seen children and the whole supermarket's just going out.
That was wrong. Very wrong.
So Happytime Murders, it was fine. It was, it was an average film. It didn't do anything special, but I was just glad to see Brian Henson, a Henson production.
Well, what were you really expecting? When given those 2 reviews of films that you've just watched, that just shows to me like how you can get thrown by trailers, and you really have to watch the film and not just take people's words for it. Because you watch the trailer for Happytime Murders, it's a fucking cop drama with Muppets in. Yeah. It's not going to have Oscar-winning speeches between people talking about, their emotions and stuff. There's going to be crusty, cum-filled Muppets.
There is a sex scene in the film that reminds me of Team America, World Police.
Oh God!
And it's where he orgasms, and it is Silly String.
Yeah, that's the one in the trailer.
And
yeah,
it just fills the whole office.
But it's like you said, with the trailer for Hereditary, you think, oh God, this just showed me all the good bits, but the good bits don't happen until the last 10 minutes. You got to sit through the rest of the emotionally packed movie.
The film earns it when it gets to that point.
Yeah,
and it's not as it is.
But I wonder how many people went to see it in the cinema and walked out
going boring
because it wasn't what they thought
it's
it was.
Not what the trailer sold it to be, which
Yeah.
was the same stuff you've seen in all the other popular recent horror films. Yeah.
Crazy.
So barring all of those things, all of my time has been devoted to one game.
Yes.
Completely and utterly immersed myself into the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. And I'm not the only one. It has sold 15 million copies in 8 days, making $725 million in 3 days, becoming the #1 selling entertainment product of all time.
Yeah, but it lost Game of the Year to Fortnite, didn't it?
What?
Or so I heard. Game of the Year award. I mean,
it was a bit early for Game of the Year awards.
Nobody looks at those things anyway.
No, they haven't.
We knew it was going to be big. It's Rockstar. Every time Rockstar announces that they're planning a game, we just count down the days, because I cannot remember the last time Rockstar failed a game.
No.
I mean, I remember they did.
Grand Theft Auto was still one of the highest earning games of all time.
Yeah,
itself.
I remember they did Midnight Club Deluxe, which was a racing game, but still, that was actually quite fun to play. Manhunt was brilliant. Bully.
Bully 2, I think.
Brilliant.
I think there's rumours of the Bully 2 announcement coming.
It's like
LA Noire was an interesting one.
I never did that one, but after doing Red Dead,
I never finished it. I actually got bored of that one after a little while.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt like the same game loop too soon.
Yeah.
And the responses from the characters used to be able to tell whether they're lying to you.
Yeah,
or
that
not.
was
it just became a bit twitchy.
But Red Dead,
my God. It is. I was umming and ahhing earlier as to whether the game truly is a 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100.
No,
perfect.
No, it's not.
And I would say that after the 60, 70 hours I've put into the game, and that's only the beginning, because the multiplayer hasn't come out yet. And I can't wait to get my posse together. We're going to get a Shelfer posse. So anyone who is, I mean, we're on Xbox. So,
we're on Xbox One.
We're on Xbox One. We will be forming an Off the Shelf Reviews posse in Red Dead Redemption 2 on Xbox.
But you can make your own Off the Shelf Reviews posses on any console, and then
so we'll be looking to get as many gang members as we can to go and looting and tooting.
Now you've done it. You've gone and done it now. You realise that.
It will be happening. Well, there's something else I've been meaning to do, is also set up a Discord channel for the Shelfers as well.
Yes.
So that, I think, will coincide with the Red Dead multiplayer release.
Yeah.
I'll try and sort all of those things out, so that we can play Red Dead together. And I've 100%ed the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arthur Morgan has become my favourite video game character of all time.
Yeah, I'd agree.
He is absolutely phenomenal. He is brilliantly voice acted.
Do you go around talking like him though?
Sometimes
you got to have to.
Sometimes I just can't help myself.
You just can't help yourself.
Just start talking.
You
like
look
him.
yourself in the mirror and you go, "God damn, you're an ugly bastard."
But the only grievance after all of the gameplay is the lack of fast travel and the stupid horse AI.
What? Well, I unlocked fast travel on Arthur.
No, you can fast travel, but only from your camp. So if you decide from your camp to fast travel somewhere else, you can't fast travel after that.
So that's good.
The only thing you can do is get a train, or horse and carriage to take you there. But in which case you still have to pay in-game money and go through cut sequences. You can't just go, I want to go here. I've been here before. Take me there.
It's bullshit to be in 1800 fucking America cowboy Wild Westland and go, God, I want to fast travel and teleport.
But it is a grievance once you've spent that much time in the game, because you're like, right, now I need to go over here. I just wish I could go over there.
That's what the horse stimulants are for. I injected my horse like 4 times in
but now
one
the thing
race
is,
today.
The more you spend with the game, the more times your horse will leave. You'll get off your horse to go hunting and realise your horse is taking your weapons. It's like, no, you don't want those weapons. You got to go off with just your pistol.
No, you always check your horse before you get off.
Yeah, but sometimes...
Didn't you have a trouble as well? You were trying to hunt that bear and your horse kept following you and you couldn't make it stay.
Oh yeah, but that was right at the start. I've learned out how to make it stay now.
Okay.
And what I realised with Red Dead is, it was something that you'd said to me. I was trying to make money to get back into Strawberry. And I had like a $300 bounty on my head. And I realised that I'd got the gunslinger pictures very right at the start.
Yeah.
And you read the back of them, they tell you where they are, and you've got to go out on them. If you're playing Red Dead or you've just started, do that first before you do any other story missions, because it opens up the world. I literally have spent the first week of playing the game running back and forth between my camp and fucking Valentine.
Yeah.
And I was just like, where am I supposed to go? When I got to Saint Denis,
Saint-Denis,
I was just like, wow. I was out in the bayou, I was surrounded by alligators, and I'm like, why the fuck didn't I come out here before?
Yeah.
Why was I doing all these stupid story missions? That's why I don't think the game's 10 out of 10, because it suffers with what I realised with a lot of open world games is, you get this open world game and they go, here you go, this is your character, we're going to build this story around you and you're going to love it. And yet nobody else in the whole game does anything apart from you. You are not just the main character. You are literally the god to these people. You go back to your camp and you've got your leader of the camp there, Dutch. He's like, oh, Arthur, you need to bring more money. Pearson's like, you need to bring more meat. Fucking Susan's like, you got to bring more spices. I'm like, what the fuck are the rest of you doing? Well, I'm out sitting in a bush for 2 days waiting for the perfect elk to come along so I can upgrade my satchel. The rest of you have sat around drinking and eating stew, and I'm literally the only one doing any work, and I hate it. So I have literally spent days away from the camp, and I've only really gone back because the story missions are there and I have to. If I didn't have to go there, I would never return back.
I spent a long time bonding with each of the characters by just playing dominoes, cards, just sitting in the camp. There's moments in the story where there's calls for celebration. And so when you go back to the camp, all of the characters are boozing it up. They're like, we're going to party tonight because of such and such.
Where'd you get the money for the booze?
You?
Yeah.
Because of a successful job, or so there's just booze lying everywhere, and you can just hang out with the different characters and listen to their backstories. None of this you would pick up on should you. It doesn't come up in the story. Now, I found out a lot about Arthur's backstory just by interacting with other characters. I didn't know that Arthur was married at one point, that he had kids at one point.
He had the picture next to his bed the whole time. Who did you think that was?
His mother.
Spends all his time in the camp and doesn't see the picture.
Yeah,
I love that.
But it's nice to have Arthur talk about them, like what actually happened.
Yeah, I love that. But for me, I'm Arthur. I've made up this whole backstory of Arthur for myself. Like I've still got my original cattle pistol that I started with. I upgraded it and I did all those gunslinger missions, and they've got their own custom guns. And I picked up this really nice golden Mauser pistol, and I looked at it and was like, wow, that's really nice. And then I looked down at the pistol on the floor, which I'd spent money on, and I've killed a lot of people with. And I was like,
you were attached to it.
Yeah, I'm like, no, that's my pistol. So I dropped the fancy gun and picked up my pistol. I find it really hard not to just shoot people in the face. I really do. Man, I'm sorry. When I come across a camp and there's somebody there, I'm like, I'm gonna go up and say hello. Hey, you, get away from my camp. And I'm like, oh, dude, seriously? I just came up to say hello. Yeah, get away from me. And he pulls his gun. The moment they pull that gun from their holster, I'm in dead eye. And I put a bullet right between their eyes. And I'm looting them. And I'm like, okay.
That's how you want to play. That's how you want to play. I said to a couple of people earlier, I was like, be careful when we have Ian join us for some Red Dead multiplayer, because he's going to be a liability.
Yeah.
I won't because Ian is going to go around
he does
shooting
save people. He does have a heart.
He
does have a bit of a conscience.
Yeah. I've paid that blind man at least $5 at the moment since I've gone past him. I've saved people from snake bites, coyotes.
I watched him go and get
yourself?
the horses that have run off for some poor guy.
Yeah, and calm them down. The thing is, it puts you in a kind of mind frame. You're playing like a GTA game. When I played GTA 5, I did shoot a lot of people when I was on multiplayer.
Yeah.
And I was a bit of a crazy psychopath in that game where I would stalk
You'd
people.
never think it, would you?
But that's Grand Theft Auto. That's what you do when you're living on the streets of Los Santos. You fuck people up. When you're in the Wild West and you're riding along, it's been 2 days, you've been camping, you've been hunting, you're doing this stuff, and you see a smokestack. I see a smokestack in the distance. I'm like, that's a camp, and I'm going to rob this guy. I know that's going to happen because the other 4 smokestacks I've bypassed, there's been 2 or 3 guys there, and as soon as I ride up, they give me grief. Why? I haven't done anything. I'm not covered in blood. I'm not aggressive. They're just like, get away from this camp. I'm like...
Because their space,
Yeah. Territory.
That's it. I get the whole, this is America, this is my land.
Very territorial time, wasn't it?
But I think I've come across 1 or 2 people where they've actually gone, hey, stranger, how you doing? And I'm like, finally, somebody who actually seems a bit human and not just a computer-controlled NPC that I morally have to choose if I want to shoot or not. The Mexican came back.
Oh, the one that you shot after shooting the bottles and the tin cans.
Yeah. There's a Mexican who challenges you to a gun shooting. I had one go with him. I beat him, and then I had another go. He beat me. I didn't want to pay him, so I shot him in the face.
Okay.
Didn't you also shoot the gold prospector?
Oh yeah, I shot the gold prospector as well.
He found his golden nugget.
He'd had his moment and had found his gold nugget. But
well, I will say that your honor rating will affect the narrative and the cutscenes that you will see later in the game.
Yeah,
I've seen the alternate cutscenes for the dishonorable playthroughs, and they're still beautiful cut sequences.
Yeah.
But the impact it has on Arthur is portrayed within the game, and I just think it's very beautifully handled.
Well, my honor is just slightly over the middle. I'm still in the white.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of neutral. But I came out of camp last night after doing some missions, and rode down the road, heard some gunfire, thought, what the hell's that? And rode up, and there's the Mexican. The Mexican that I'd shot in the face, and I got off my horse, and he turned, he went, hey there, stranger, welcome back. Want to try your luck again? And I went right into bullet time and blew his head off. I was like,
nope.
Let's see you come back from that.
Yeah.
And robbed them, yeah. So that was fun. The bounty hunter missions, I've caught all those people alive.
Yeah,
every single one.
A lot of them are to be brought back alive. You know, I love the way that they try and bribe you on the way back. They're like, please let me go, I'll do all of this.
You know, there was that guy in the fort at great risk. I had to kill 8 of his friends and then lasso
and then capture him. Yeah,
which was really quite tough.
You can capture,
but I wanted to capture him. I was like, I want this guy alive.
Yeah, you can capture people and then take them to the swamps and feed them to the gators. You know?
Yeah. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this while the wife is here. Actually, I purposely drowned somebody.
Yeah, you can drop them in shallow waters.
I came across this guy at a camp. He gave.
I don't know why I'm going. No, after you just talked about shooting loads of people in the face. But...
I lassoed him, pulled all the ropes up, robbed him, and I was going to ride off. And he was screaming that he didn't want to be left like that. So
you drowned him.
I went back and I cut him free, thinking that he was just going to get up and run off. And I had my mask on, so I had no care that he was going to report me to the police because he wouldn't know what I looked like. He got up and immediately punched me. So I immediately went on the defensive, started fighting him back, managed to lasso him again, so he's not knocked out or dead, he's still alive. I tied him up, stuck him on the back of the horse, wondered what to do with him, and when I saw the big river...
Just down. In the river.
No, I walked in there carrying him on my shoulder
and then dropped him.
And then he just fell off and floated down the river. But the gold prospector, that was the best one because the gold prospector had been prospecting at this river for about 10 years and finally got this gold nugget. And as he jumped on the horse, he rode off. I shot him in the back of the head, picked up his body, looted it, picked up his body, walked over to the river, threw him in the river. And as I walked away, I said to myself, he always loved that river.
Oh, God.
So I cannot wait personally for the multiplayer. I know for a fact I'll be sat in some saloon and some guy will come up to me that I don't know and he'll be like, hey man, you shot my friend. And I'll be like, yeah, what the fuck are you going to do about it?
Hey man, you're sat in my chair.
Yeah, you know? Yeah.
We're going to be sat there playing cards and someone's going to look at you funny.
No.
We're going to be in the middle of a robbery. No one's going to be shooting anyone, and all of a sudden Ian's just going to start popping off his shots.
If they pull guns, if they pull a gun, then I may.
I'll just say, yeah, I know you're going to keep it interesting for us, Ian.
Yeah.
So, shall we get into the news?
Yes, news.
Okay, so as always, we'll get with the bad news, the sad news first.
Yeah, sad news first.
A couple of deaths. William Goldman has died at the age of 87 after a long battle with cancer. William Goldman is best known for his 1969 screenplay for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, for which he won an Oscar for.
Wow, yeah.
Other works include The President's Men, an adaptation of Stephen King's Misery, The Princess Bride.
He did The Princess Bride?
Yes, he wrote the screenplay.
Wow.
He also was the writer for Heat, the novel, and the screenplays that were based upon it, you know, like The Michael Mann, Burt Reynolds, and even Wild Card in 2015, another adaptation of his work. So, yeah, great screenplay.
I didn't hear about that one. That one just completely...
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear about that one.
So. Yeah, well, it was massively overshadowed by Stan Lee's passing at the age of 95.
Who's Stan Lee?
Born Stanley Martin Lieber in 1922. Stan is an icon for modern pop culture within film, television, and comic books. He became an editor for what eventually became Marvel Comics at the age of 19. He served in the army in World War II and returned back to comics soon after. He competed with DC Comics by creating and launching new characters and stories with Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Iron Man,
X-Men,
Ant-Man,
Incredible Hulk,
and
After Universe.
I got a quote from Stan Lee himself, and he said, "I used to think what I did was not very important. People are building bridges and engaging in medical research, and here I was doing stories about fictional people who do extraordinarily crazy things and wear costumes. But I suppose I've come to realise that entertainment is not easily dismissed."
And the guy was 95 years old. I mean,
his wife passed away the year before.
That's it. Yeah. Stan Lee surpassed what we would consider legend.
Yes, he did. A living legend he was.
That's it. He's a living legend. You know, he's bigger than Elvis, I'd go and say. Bigger than Jesus. Lasted longer than John Lennon. You know, the guy wrote comics, and we've said it so many times, and we'll keep saying it, that for such a long time, you couldn't walk out your house with a comic book in your hand because you would get shouted at, screamed at, laughed at,
a different
pushed
era.
down. Everybody would just have a go at you that you were a baby if you were reading these stories. And yet the stories that were going on within those pages were more dramatic and more relatable to the things that were going on around you.
Yeah.
That that's what... You didn't want to be Iron Man because he had a suit of armor. You wanted to be an Iron Man because he was a superhero. He was saving people, and you wanted to be the hero.
Yeah.
You know, and then... Yeah, say what you want about the Sony films that came out with Fantastic Four, Incredible Hulk, and the Spider-Man and stuff like that. That made it possible for Marvel to say, we're making our film company now. We're doing our own films.
Well, I mean, Marvel was on the verge of bankruptcy, and they had already sold the rights to a lot of their characters in order to remain a viable company, and that's why they started with Iron Man, because obviously their big guns were already elsewhere.
Yeah, and to think Iron Man wouldn't have lasted, really, when you compare him to people like X-Men, Spider-Man, you know. I mean, weirdly enough, they started with Iron Man, and yet Captain America came soon after and completely overshadowed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the Iron Man movies are good.
Well, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. I think is still the
Tony
icon
Stark
of modern Marvel.
That's it. He's Tony Stark forever.
Yeah.
You know, every other film he's going to do is be that guy.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you look at films like the Captain America, Winter Soldier is amazing.
Yeah. But that's not, I mean, we've said it before, that's an amazing film as well as being a comic book adaptation, you know? It serves as its own...
One of the weird things I was thinking of a couple of days ago was, you know, when you look at these great movies that he's made, like, I like the little ones.
Well, I mean, it's got to be said that Stanley didn't make any of these films. You know, he did write a lot of. He created a lot of the characters, but he didn't portray them. He wasn't the writer for them for their duration. I mean, he created them and moved on. And the reason why I think Stanley became or helped become such a pop icon was because he served as, you know, the intermediary. He's the one who went from Marvel to the other companies. You know, to help promote, you know, comic books and Marvel, and he was the one that went to the film studios and went, these are the characters and things.
Yeah. And his cameos.
And his cameos, of course.
His cameos got better and better over the years. But no, what I was saying is, it's like, you think of all the really big, massive Marvel movies that done. I like the little ones, like Thor Dark World. You know, when he goes up against the Dark Elves. You know, it's the fact that...
It's a terrible film, I think. But
say what you
Thor
want.
movie.
But what I'm saying is that with something like that, that's a story from the Thor stories from back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, that he created this character that people can sit there and go, oh, the film's not very good. Yes, but it gives you this insight into another aspect of Stan Lee.
Yeah.
You know, that you may have attempted to avoid. But as a comic book fan, you're supposed to eat it all up.
Yeah.
Take it all in and see it all from different perspectives. I still do not understand why they haven't brought in Namor.
Who?
See? Yeah. Namor, the Aquaman. He goes up against the Fantastic Four like shitloads of time. He's got little wings on his feet and can swim. He's basically fucking Aquaman for Marvel.
Okay.
Right.
You know, but it's like he was one of the original Avengers.
Right.
You know, he's part of the Illuminati, and it's like there's not been one single film or a single mention of him in anything.
Well, I think Marvel's got some legs on it at the moment, so who knows what other characters they're going to bring up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to hear of Stan Lee's passing, a true legend.
He had a good innings.
Hell yes, he did. So let's go into some bad innings.
Okay. What was that?
There is another Meg movie on the way.
Is there?
Meg.
Dylan will be so happy.
I wrote a pun. I don't know whether. Now I'm reading it. I'm like,
yeah. Go on. What's the pun?
It's swallowed more than 500 million worldwide.
Do you think it chomped the box office?
It did. It took a huge chomp out of the box office. There's been no official announcement yet, but the filmmakers behind it are like, look, this film's done fucking so well.
Yeah,
we'll be stupid not to make another one.
I was going to say, how did people not think they were going to make a second one?
I was going to say, that was obvious, really, wasn't it?
Another summer blockbuster, giant killer shark. Jason Statham comes back, punches it in the face. Maybe there's 2, maybe there's 4.
Well, we don't know how many are down in that.
Well, that's it. You know?
I said it last time. There's a whole ecosystem down there. There can't just be one.
Like, how did it? Yeah,
right.
The sequel, they've got to go down there. You know. Yeah, we'd go and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd still watch it. Stupid giant shark movie. Penny Dreadful. It was a TV series that I quite enjoyed, starring Eva Green. It was set in London, and it sort of dealt with fantasy monsters like Frankenstein.
Yeah, it was like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen
very
TV
much so.
series, wasn't
Yes,
it?
yeah, it was very artsily done. You know,
Yeah.
it was made for adults. There was
Josh Hartnett was in
Josh
it,
Hartnett, that's right. And so it was an 18-rated show. That dealt with all of these things in a very realistic way.
Very rare.
Very
What
atmospheric.
season?
3 seasons.
Three?
It was
Oh,
very
3 seasons.
gothic in its look as
Yeah,
well. And of
yeah.
course, old London, you know, with the dim, misty alleyways and things. It was really good to look at.
Yeah.
I grant it, some episodes were a little bit weak. Which I would say was probably what contributed to its cancellation, because it had a cult following but not a mass appeal.
It was going up against things like Game of Thrones,
American
The
Horror
Walking
Story,
Dead,
Walking
American
Dead, yeah.
Horror Story.
It was
You know, it was going
Breaking
up against Breaking
You
Bad.
know, there were so many great shows at the time.
So many shows at the time, and you know, if you can't keep your audience for more than 3 episodes, they're going to
Yeah.
go off and find something else.
I found myself breaking from it a lot and then going, oh yes, I haven't watched it all yet, I'll go back and watch some more.
Yeah.
But it's getting a spin-off titled The City of Angels, and it's moving from London to LA.
Has that got Nicolas Cage in it?
No. It doesn't have any of the original cast.
Oh, right. So it might have Nicolas
it's
Cage.
just a different location with the same themes.
Right.
It's rooted in the conflict between characters connected to the deity of Santa Muerta.
Was that Day of the Dead?
Yeah, kind
Yeah,
of.
Lord of the Dead.
And others allied with the devil. And the series will explore a mix of supernatural and the combustible reality of that period, creating new occult myths and moral dilemmas within a historical backdrop.
More fight sequences. That's what you want.
So-
Bit of information in the background, building up these characters, and then have them
and
fight on screen.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Because if you don't have them fight on screen, you're basically going to have a bunch of people standing around talking, and you ain't going to want to watch that.
No. Well, yeah, if it's done well.
If it's done well.
Breaking Bad. It looks like it's going to get a film.
Oh, brilliant! So I can watch that instead of the series.
Instead of the series. Oh, no, we never watched any of the
Collider
series.
broke
watched
the
the first
news that Vince Gilligan has been working on the script for a while and that it remains very hush-hush in regards to story and characters. Because my speculation is that Bryan Cranston is going to get spotted on set somewhere.
Yeah.
Because how do you do a Breaking Bad movie without him?
Yeah.
Easy.
You know,
Don't invite him.
Well, I mean, I know you guys have just said you've not seen the show.
No, but I know who he is.
You
I
know
know
who he
his
is,
character.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so he is one of the greatest television characters of modern TV as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And
Although he's still kind of, my memory is in Malcolm in the Middle.
Malcolm in the Middle, of course. I mean, that is what was so great for Breaking Bad, was because everybody came from that perspective, and that's where he starts as the everyday family man.
Yeah.
But he's so angry.
You watch it in 5 seasons. You watch that anger come to the surface.
Man,
and
I thought he has cancer, and that's
He does.
why he's
He
kind
does.
he
Of,
does, and that's why he
so it's
decides.
cancer that he never dies.
Yeah, spoilers.
Well, like I said,
I
you've
mean,
both told me you've not seen it yet, so I'm
I've
not going to
seen
go
the
into
first
it.
season. I watched the first season.
But yeah.
And I've wikied it, obviously. The story does develop. The cancer's always still there. But he's just trying to make a good life for his family
That's
so that
what I
when he
understood,
dies.
yeah.
Yeah.
But with the drugs, his make of drugs, the amount of money that comes into it,
Gets a bit carried away.
the shady character, it gets carried away. But he is so smart. He is so smart that he's able to counter people as well as Tony Soprano countered people in The Sopranos.
I would say as well that he is also incredibly lucky. And that's a part of it. Because there's so many points where you're just like, there's no way out of this, and just pure luck, you know, or a certain character decision which you don't think would affect it does.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's almost like a stroke of brilliance in the script writing because you believe that's what the characters would do.
Yeah.
I've rewatched Breaking Bad through a second time, and I will be honest and say that I skipped all of the Skylar scenes, which is his wife's scenes, because the whole what are you doing? What are you doing late at night? Why do you keep going out late at night? Why are you doing all these horrible things? You're a terrible father. You're blah, blah, blah. And so like all the family drama stuff was like,
kind of like me in Red Dead Redemption 2.
got a bit fed up with it. But I also, you know, I've said it before, Better Call Saul, I'm still absolutely loving it, which is the spin-off prequel show to Breaking Bad, which is overlapping now with Breaking Bad. So you're seeing events unfold that Walter walks into at the start of Breaking Bad. So it's painting that bigger picture. And You know, we often say that prequels are pointless, but this one has been phenomenal. And so
not all of them are pointless.
Most of them are. Most prequels are pointless.
We agree to disagree, Gary. I'm not even going to go into this with you.
Most prequels are pointless.
Apart from The Thing, 2011.
That's still pointless. I've actually there's a question coming up later which actually gives me another point to talk about why The Thing prequel is pointless.
Ooh, I'm scared. I'm quaking.
No, boys.
There's some Walking Dead news.
Right, okay.
The Walking Dead is going to be getting some movies as well.
Yeah, because he's left now.
Yes.
And they plan on getting him to do his films in England.
Series of films in London or in England, of course. So, you know, I don't want to go into too many of the details, but I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead still. I know its ratings are up and down and down and down, but I'm still watching.
Yeah, I'm waiting for all the episodes to finish because I've gotten so used to binge watching the seasons.
You might
now.
end up with 20 seasons to binge once it's all
goodness.
over.
Yeah, but I don't mind that.
Plus, you're going to have The Walking Dead, the Fear the Walking Dead spin-off
I'm
show.
not watching that.
Plus the other spin-off shows that they're planning.
I'm not watching any of the spin-off shit. I'm a fan of The Walking Dead.
Well, the Walking Dead movies is a spin-off of it, so...
What?
The Walking Dead movies will be a spin-off of it.
Right, yes, but I didn't actually say then that I would probably go and see the movies. I'll probably wiki them. But when I watch the TV series is just so enthralling, you know, from where it started from, like we said, going all the way back with Stanley about how comic books were just, you know, overlooked. And then The Walking Dead comes out and I can just get behind. I miss the characters so much. I miss Carol, you know, I miss Daryl. Some days I even miss Merle. You know, some days I miss the governor, and I'm just like, that's it. I'm happy with that kind of little world. But when I need my fix of The Walking Dead, of what I haven't seen,
there's plenty to get.
I need to hit it really, really hard because I was like that Sasha episode.
Yeah.
You know, in the last season?
Yeah.
That had me in tears.
I didn't go now. 2 years ago.
I realised that, you know, with her and Abraham and Glenn, that The Walking Dead wasn't... People get it wrong. The Walking Dead isn't just about Rick. The comic might be, but the TV series is far.
It's an ensemble cast, yeah.
Because each character is so human. Mm-hmm. You know, each character has their own emotions, and then you go to conventions and you meet them and you love them as people. That I'm like, I'm good. You know, I know the companies are trying to milk it with Fear the Walking Dead and they've just killed off like practically every main character off of it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm glad I didn't get behind that then.
Well, I mean, it was still some great storytelling. I didn't like the first season of Fear the Walking Dead, but I've absolutely loved every season since. Even the big shake-up that occurred.
Yeah. Gosh darn you, Cliff Curtis.
Next piece of news, and I'm quite excited about this, is that Deadwood movie has started shooting. Huzzah! Deadwood ran from 2004 into 2006 with only 3 seasons before it was cancelled. And, you know, I put this down to HBO. You know, they cancelled a lot of expensive series around that time. They cancelled Rome around the same time. But, you know, now that they've had successes with things like Game of Thrones and Westworld, which are some of the most expensive TV shows ever produced, now they're back with Deadwood. And I believe it was finances that caused the problems with the show originally.
I think with the success of Westworld, Westworld, I feel, isn't going to survive very long unless they do something real drastic with the storyline, which is very hard when it's contained in that Westworld universe.
Yeah.
But with the fact that everybody's loving Westerns at the moment, you know, Westworld is basically a Western, they can go, well, let's just carry on with Deadwood. That's easier to do than this sci-fi futuristic stuff that people were expecting.
The other problem they had with getting to come back to Deadwood was that they had such a fantastic cast that once they got word that they were cancelled, all of the other actors, they immediately had jobs to go into. And all went off into other acting jobs. And so getting them all back became near impossible. But Ian McShane and Brad Dourif are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I also didn't realise, but Daredevil, he turns up for like 2 episodes and then dies of chickenpox. I was like, what? You can't bring in that actor. I was like, this is obviously years before his, you know,
I'm
big
sorry,
success.
dude. You said Daredevil. All I'm seeing is Daredevil run around a western town with his stick, you know, trying to take that, and then he dies unexpectedly of chickenpox.
But also the previous lead actress of Fear the Walking Dead. She's a big part in Deadwood. Kirsten Bell, you know, who I'm really loving.
Princess Anna from Frozen.
Yeah, but The Good Place.
Oh yeah,
Or
yeah.
the Pulse remake.
Yeah. Fuck it. Why'd you bring that up? Yeah, they keep going on about The Good Place, so you might have to watch Good Place.
The Good Place is still so damn good.
It's got Ted Danson in it.
Yeah, there's no reason not to dislike it.
There's every reason not to watch it. I'm watching other stuff.
Well, yeah, he might be too busy.
Shoot people in the face.
Next bit of news, this is a bit of an odd piece of news, is that there might be a Night of the Living Dead Part 2. Yeah. A script, which was written over 40 years ago, is being looked at for treatment into a production.
Yeah, it's called Dawn of the Dead.
No. Before Dawn of the Dead was written, which was like a decade later, about 10 years later, in between that time, a script was produced for an actual sequel.
By George A. Romero.
George A. Romero's name hasn't been put anywhere near the announcement yet. But George A. Romero didn't, I don't believe he wrote the original film either.
Well, right, okay.
I know he was a massive part of it. He directed it. He helped shape the film, but I don't know if he actually wrote it.
Any film that comes out with Night of the Living Dead 2 title on it is either going to go straight to Netflix or is going to be on Sci-Fi.
Quite likely. I mean, it's a company at the moment called Living Dead Media, which literally represents, they are the holders of the Living Dead movie franchise. And so they're the ones that have the script.
Romero's series of movies.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, right. So they're to blame for Survival of the Dead then?
Maybe.
Right, okay. Thanks for that.
Well, they're looking to get Night of the Living Dead 2 out next year. So we'll see.
Yeah, okay.
Watch this space.
I'll get my Wikipedia page ready.
I am kind of half expecting it not to happen, or it to just literally just appear one day without any notice and without trailer. It's just going to appear.
Did you see that they've got, what is it, on Netflix now, Day of the Dead Bloodline?
Oh yeah.
Oh god,
it's sequels of the remake.
Yeah.
As you go. Okay, let's quickly get into the trailers.
Yes, trailers.
First trailer we just watched was for the remake of The Lion King, which is going to be out in July 2019. And it's from the filmmakers that gave us the Jungle Book live action.
What, Disney?
Well, yeah. The actual filmmakers that made the other remake. There's a lot of them right now because we've got Aladdin and Dumbo and
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
That's not a remake, I hear. It's
a sequel.
It's another Mary Poppins 2. I don't know. Whatever.
But James Earl Jones is back.
Yeah, that's good.
But is it a remake? Is it a rehash? Is it a reboot? Is it a retelling?
It's a remake.
The trailer looks like it is just a remake.
Right.
I can't imagine they'll go in a different direction after seeing that trailer set up the intro of the film.
Yeah, but
same songs, same characters.
No, that's fine.
Same scene.
Same scene. Exactly the same scenes.
We always kick up a fuss about remakes.
Yeah.
People always kick up a fuss about remakes. Are you telling me now
there is a difference between going from an animated film to an animated film?
So yeah, but then that would
animated to a CGI
film. Yes, yeah.
But then to me, it's a retelling. It's basically just a retelling of the story, but in an updated form.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what words you use to disguise it.
It does for me because personally, remakes aren't very good.
Well, this is a remake. I think it firmly fits remake. But this is as bad as because Psycho was one of the first remakes that literally went shot for shot remake exactly.
Exactly. So
a lot of other remakes changed things here and there.
Right.
This one doesn't. I don't think it's going to change anything.
No.
And for me, that is just as pointless as prequels.
But we were saying that earlier that this one I think has kind of come about because of the sex. Sorry, on to the second bottle of wine.
Because that's funny because in Lion King there is the sex cloud that floats up.
Yeah,
this subliminal
Freudian
message.
slip there. No, this success of Beauty and the Beast.
Yes,
and that was a remake. And that was actually I really enjoyed that.
Well, I think Jungle Book as well. I mean, Jungle Book's already out. We need to watch that one.
There's another Jungle Book coming out as well, though. Another Jungle Book.
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm
the third time.
They went into production at the same time.
I'm all up for watching it because as we get further and further down this generation, they less and less want to watch animation.
Well, this is the thing. This is what the other thing we said is the fact that it's like this has been created for the new generation.
Yes.
I remember. I love the original Disney Lion King. I remember playing the game afterwards and how hard that was.
Yeah. I could never beat Scar.
Oh my god! And just But and obviously I remember it with my kids, and they loved it as well.
Yeah.
And we had it on VHS video,
All the
you know,
time.
and it was well played and stuff like that, and it was wonderful. But we are talking about a different generation now,
Yeah.
and then getting into that, and even though they have they've a lot of the Disney movies and stuff, and they've reproduced them on DVD and they've revamped them to make them digitally more enhanced and better looking and stuff like that. But you can't get away from the fact that animation is kind of very old school.
Yes,
and kids today are used to CGI,
full CGI now,
and so that's why I think they've done this, is to target that new generation.
I think the films that they are remaking as well were very successful, and I think Lion King, you know, the popularity of it, I don't think it ever really waned at all, because the stage shows have gone on ever since. They've never stopped.
Very popular.
That's what blows my mind, that the fact that Disney are going to be the only company I can know that is going to have a successful run of remakes.
It really will. I mean, people are going to see these films because they're familiar with it. They love it already.
Whenever another company says we're remaking this film, people are there with pitchforks and burning torches ready to tear it down. As soon as Disney do it,
I know.
Well, they don't even announce it. They just go, here's a trailer, and everyone goes, oh my God.
It does look stunning. You know? It really does look stunning.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast looks stunning. I mean, I love the giant orangutan in the trailer for the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll talk about this when we get to the second part. It's the songs as well. When I watched Beauty and the Beast, the remake, and I wasn't going to, because I was like, oh, fucking hell, Hermione. Why the hell am I watching this Disney movie? When the songs start, you can't help but sing.
No.
You get behind it. And so when Lion King comes up, and I did say this earlier before we start recording, I would love the whole film to be the animal noises all the way through. And
like a David Attenborough documentary.
Yeah, and then Linda said about with subtitles, but they only speak English, or whatever language you're watching it in. They only speak that language when they sing. So it's all clucks and caws and whatever other noises.
What I will say about the trailer for The Lion King is you don't see any of the animals talk in the entire trailer.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm like, how weird is it going to look when they all start talking to each other and singing and dancing?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, wouldn't it? Because the CGI is so good, isn't it? You know it's CGI,
uncanny?
You know it's not real, but the quality of it does make you kind of think them as real.
It's going to look odd when they do.
It might that's the only thing. That will be the interesting thing to see how they've worked that.
When they knock out Hakuna Matata. I
saw the other Jungle Book movie, and I don't need to see this other one. I just saw a really good remake of it, which was so well done, brilliantly voice acted.
Which wasn't really that long ago, was it?
No, it was only last year or 2 years ago now.
That's why I'm looking forward to seeing Dumbo as well. The trailer of Dumbo.
I've only seen the still image for it, and I was just weirded out just seeing the elephant there. I was just like,
I think that's why they did Lion King, because with what they've managed to do with Dumbo and making him look so just.
So what's next for them? Pinocchio, Snow White, Alice in Wonderland. No, wait, that's been done.
No, that's been done.
They've already done that one. They could remake
you said Aladdin.
Aladdin's being done. Yes, Aladdin. Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Which was another
Fox and the Hound. Sword in the Stone live action.
No, I think was it Lady and the Tramp's actually being redone. Yeah, is actually in development. So they're going to do the whole catalogue. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Let's just resign ourselves to the fact.
And then when Article 13 kicks in, they'll make their own website so that everyone can come and talk about it.
Oh dear.
So the final trailer on the list is Fighting with My Family.
That looked brilliant.
Ian, I'll let you describe this one for us.
Yeah, this is the autobiographical story of Paige from WWE growing up with her family, who are an English-based wrestling family, and her and her brother try out for WWE, and she gets through and he doesn't. So from the trailer, obviously, there's going to be a lot of family drama and turmoil and life turnaround and life lessons, stuff like that. But I also like the fact that, you know, it's the first time really that WWE have put their name to a film that isn't a film. It's actually a story. I mean, Paige, when Paige first turned up, she's an English-based wrestler, pale white skin, wearing all black, screaming her head off all the time. I honestly looked at her and I was like, you're not going to last 3 weeks. You know, you with what WWE were putting out with their female stars at that time, the Diva Revolution, I was just like, she does not fit. And that's what they played on. She immediately won the title.
Misfit, yeah.
You know, she immediately took control of the female revolution. You know, she paved the way for other girls coming along. Like, you know, nowadays you've got the likes of Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, you've got Bayley, you've got Ronda Rousey now and there. I literally just watched a couple of months ago all the way through the WWE Evolution pay-per-view, which is just all women wrestling.
Yeah.
Because Gary will probably agree with me, back when we were watching wrestling, the most we got were bra and panty matches.
Right.
You know, or girls being put through tables.
Silly, yeah.
It was silly.
They were there for the puppies.
That's it. They didn't get the respect they deserved. With nowadays, they're trying to have events over in Saudi Arabia, which has massive laws against women performing. So how do we fight against that? We give them their own pay-per-view. And I know a lot of wrestling fans were like, oh, shit, I didn't watch it. I did. Because these girls were putting on an athletical show.
I was going to say, there was some really good.
Yeah, I watched them with the same amount of respect and admiration as I do watching Survivor Series with any other wrestlers. And we're fine with my family. You've got Nick Frost in it as the dad. You've got Lena Headey in it as the mum. You got The Rock turns up. Vince Vaughn is in it as the.
I was surprised to see Vince Vaughn. I was like, he's still alive.
He's still alive. You know, it's not going to be brilliant. I'm not going to tell people that you've got to rush to the cinema and watch it and it's going to knock films out of their headlines.
As I really, really liked the trailer. As someone who has kind of left the WWE, you know, I stopped watching when it was still the WWF.
Yeah.
And so, as detached as I have become from wrestling, I still keep up with certain wrestlers that are still going. That from the time I was watching it, and just to see The Rock replaying the actual Rock, I was like, that's brilliant. I actually forgot I missed you.
Yeah,
you know, because I've watched you in all these other films now, but now you're gonna play up The Rock one more time. I was like, I'm gonna love this.
It was amazing. Because obviously I've got the WWE Network pretty much on all the time. I'm just
we watch a lot of wrestling at home.
I'm just watching always Raw. I mean, I'm into year 1999 at the moment. Triple H has just been betrayed by China, and he's about to join the corporation. You know, that's all. But The Rock,
20 years ago,
The Rock came out on stage, right, and he's talking to Mankind about getting another shot at the championship, and Dylan's watching it and goes, "Dad, it's that actor." And I was like, yes, son, it's that actor. And I'm thinking, wow, seeing it from the other perspective. You know, when we were watching The Rock come out, we had no idea he was going to go into films, and when we did, we were like, he's never going to last.
Scorpion King.
You know, Scorpion King, Doom. You know, but he's excelled. That's his craft now. He loves acting, and he does some really good performances.
Yeah, so charismatic.
So to Dylan, he's seen him on screen, and he's like, oh, he was a wrestler. You know, it's like when people see Hulk Hogan and go, oh, look, oh, yeah, he was a wrestler. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to watch it simply because Nick Frost.
The trailer looked good.
It does look really well made.
It did have a comic value to it. So.
Definitely, and that one's due out 1st of March 2019.
The harshest thing, I'll just drop this in, the harshest thing now, she had to retire.
Oh.
The page.
Spoilers for the end of Wrestling with My Family.
Oh yeah, for spoilers for the ending. She developed the bone in her spine, I think, started to splinter. Started to splinter. So it's a common occurrence with wrestlers when they start taking so many bumps over the course of their work. But the thing is,
most of them continue with the problem.
A lot of them continue, and with the medical stuff that they had back in the day, you know, a lot of them just carried on,
took their pills and got
to painkillers, had lots of turmoil in their life. She developed, it's the exact same thing. She got the same thing that Edge got.
When Edge he retired immediately.
And he had to retire. And it's one of those things where it's like people scream one more match. And they tell you, look, if I have one, it could paralyze me
forever. It's not worth the risk, is it?
And I'm like, you just stand in the background. You paid your dues. You've done your thing. You're good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
As sad as that is, we're going to bring this first part of the podcast to a close, and we'll be back for a sing and a dance.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean, bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life.
And welcome back to the second part of the podcast where we're going to be discussing musicals. And I thought I would just begin this part of the podcast by just going into a brief history of film musicals.
Yeah.
Which, if you didn't know, is a genre of film in which songs are performed by the characters, often or not, with dance numbers. The musical segments often serve to advance the narrative, express a character's true feelings, or sometimes the song is just a break from the narrative. Musicals were the result of the technological advances in sound and film technology, which essentially evolved the Broadway and stage theatre shows into films. The films employed much larger sets and effects and locations that you could not achieve on a stage. And from the 1930s through to the 1950s is really considered the golden age of musicals. And it was a massive event in the film industry as film studios started to realise the potential in transforming stage shows to film. The Jazz Singer in 1927 from Warner Brothers is considered the first ever musical. With only a small portion of talking between the musical numbers. Historian Scott Iman, who specialises in the golden age of cinema, wrote, "As the film ended and applause grew with the house lights, Sam Goldwyn's wife Frances looked around at the celebrities in the crowd and she saw terror in their faces. She said as if they knew that the game that they had been playing for years was finally over." And, you know, it's crazy because there was so many different film companies then just went to all the Broadway shows, to all of the writers, the choreographers, and just said, come and work for film. Let's turn it into a film. And it just exploded. There were so many competing musicals, but it was the fact that it went into the talkies, where it wasn't a live orchestra playing in front of the film.
Yeah.
It was
Or a
the
man
actual
on a piano.
it was the actual matching of dialogue and sound and marrying it with film, which of course changed film forever.
Yeah,
there
totally.
hasn't been another revolution in film since obviously 3D virtual reality.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
there's no other way to once you have full picture and sound.
Yeah.
And then of course it was musicals moved from black and white television into color television. But also musicals over the decades since the 1930s all the way up to this year.
Yeah.
Musicals have evolved. They changed from singing and dancing, Singing in the Rain, to The Wizard of Oz, to films today like The Greatest Showman or Labyrinth or animated musical films as well. So I'm not really one to choose and pick to watch a musical ever. Really?
I never knew that.
I have performed in quite a few musicals. The sound,
Really?
Gary?
The Sound of Music,
Did you?
stage play.
No, I never knew that.
Wizard of Oz, stage play. Annie, the stage play.
Were you Annie?
No. I only had a very small part in Annie, as you could have realised. It was a large girl cast.
Yeah.
So I was quite happy. I was like, there was only like 3 male cast members in the whole cast, and the rest were girls, which was fine. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing those stage plays, so I can understand the whole setup for it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to film musicals, I'm usually until I actually sat earlier when I was preparing my notes to talk about musicals.
Yeah.
There was more than 10 that I could think of.
Well, there you go.
And then as I was thinking, there were even more that went, oh yeah, I've forgotten about that one, and that one, and that one. And one of the first ones that surprised me that I remembered it was Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow,
fucking hell.
that is a musical. But it's been so long since I've seen the film. It must be 20 plus years since I've seen it, and now I really want to go watch it. And I'm like, wait a minute, Gary, you really want to go watch a musical? I'm like, so I'll shut my face.
No, that's brilliant. This was actually my choice of theme because I do love musicals. I grew up with musicals, watching them on the telly. Every Christmas, Wizard of Oz.
Oliver Twist.
Used to love it. Yeah, Oliver Twist. I loved all the Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, Gene Kelly, Singing Rain. All those the big. That time period when it was really most popular, I suppose, 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
The big extravagant sets Just and I used to dance when I was little as well,
Nice.
so that's why kind of my appeal came in there. But also, I mean, we're talking about it because a lot of them we talk about the big American shows, and like Warner Brothers, etc., that used to produce a lot of them. But over in this country as well, and you can't deny the popularity of things like Summer Holiday.
Right.
Yeah,
Richard.
Richard.
Okay, which
It's a little bit embarrassing.
but they were incredible. And actually, my first probably crush that I had as a youngster, very young, was Tommy Steele.
Okay, I'm not familiar right now.
Right, Tommy Steele was a very popular actor, singer, dancer. Probably most famous for the one that comes into my mind was Half Sixpence.
Okay.
Okay. And that was a British musical, and I can remember on vinyl having a single one of his, and I used to play it on my little record player that I had, my first record player.
Awesome.
Used to play it over and over again. So it was, musicals were something that I just loved, and I still do love.
Yes.
My most favourite musical, if we get on to favourite musicals, is West Side Story. And I even named my daughter after one of the characters.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Which one?
Maria.
Maria.
And
is it the lead in the film? Because I honestly,
she is.
I remember I've seen sequences of West Side Story over and over again, because you always get those TV specials where they go, let's look at the top 100 films of all time.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
West Side Story is always in there, and
yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, musical. It's
it was it came out in 1961, and
the Jets and the Sharks.
Yeah,
the Gangs
Jets and
of New
Sharks.
York.
It was a film. It was based on a Broadway show. Actually, it became because a lot of kind of the whole, you've got your Broadway musicals, and then you've got your film musicals.
Yeah.
And there is crossover, and you certainly see a lot more of them now, where you're seeing a lot of films that are made into Broadways, and before it's gone through different time periods where it's gone vice versa. But West Side Story was a Broadway show, and they decided to make it into a film, and actually a lot of people said that's not going to work.
Right.
The story is actually based on kind of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
But set in 60s, 50s, 60s America, with, like you say, with the two opposing gangs, which is the Sharks and the Jets. So the Jets being the American, all American good, boys.
Greasers.
And then you've got your Sharks, which are the Puerto Rican.
Right.
Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, yeah.
Puerto Rican. Yeah, sorry.
More wine.
More wine.
And actually it was quite controversial at the time,
Yes.
because it really depicted what was actually happening in America at that time.
Racial hatred.
Oh,
yeah.
totally, and that hatred towards all the immigrants that were coming in. It was actually
Still relevant.
It's still relevant today. Yeah. I mean, what are we kind of 50 years on, and it's still kind of an issue. And but the film, I love. Obviously, the storyline's good, and I think that's really important in a musical, that you do have a good storyline, and that the music fits in with that. Like I say, the narrative, it has to be supported by the music, and I love the music in West Side Story. I've seen the stage show as well. Been fortunate enough to actually go up to London and see
That's
it
awesome.
up there, and again, amazing show.
Yeah.
So that. In terms of, I've got lots of favourites. And
I mean,
that is my
that's
top
a great
one.
one to have, because it has lots of cultural reference and significance then as it does now for the controversy of its topic, which is one of the reasons why it has a lasting appeal.
Yeah.
Of course, with a musical, it's something you want to listen to on repeat.
Yeah,
It's something you want to revisit over and over again. And that, I think the musicals do have sometimes a bigger appeal to film audiences than just normal film. It can be seen as an event. Now, in the short time that I worked in the cinema, The Greatest Showman came out,
Huge
and I couldn't believe the crowd that came every single night. There were people coming out going, "That's the 6th time I've seen it." And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, really?
Yeah.
And we have a couple of special screenings where it's the sing-along version, where it's subtitled for the songs, sold out every seat sold out. People going, "You're going to do it again? You're going to do it again?" I'm like, the film's been out 6 months. You can buy it on DVD now.
Go do it in your home, in your front room.
And so that was a reawakening for me as to the popularity of these films. Still,
it's always amazed me. I was never a fan of musicals when I was watching film when I was growing up. I got thrust into a fucking situation when I was a kid where you had this social club that your parents could take kids and they'd just drop them off and you'd hang out for the day playing with fucking toys while they went shopping. And every day throughout this 4-week summer holiday that I was having at this goddamn place, I was at an age where I couldn't hang out with the cool kids that were outside smoking and fucking wanting to drink and shit because they didn't like me. And I couldn't hang out with the young kids who were playing with all the really, really cool toys. So I was stuck in this really weird corner where people were like, you got to make more friends. And I'm like, I'm fucking trying. And at the end of each day, they would play the multi-mash of the Grease soundtrack. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever heard it. It's literally all of the songs kind of edited together,
hypermixed into one,
and they'd get all the kids up at the end of the day, and we'd all have to dance the Grease Lightning, and what's the beach one, Summer Lovin',
to tire you all out before your parents pick you up.
All that. Yeah, exactly. And I absolutely hate it. And so for many, many, many years, I averted away from musicals as much as I could. And then one day, I met a girl who loved musicals. And I was just like, oh, gosh darn it, Ian. You're going to have to at least, if you want the relationship to work, you're going to have to give it a try. And so I did. And obviously the girl was Linda, obviously. But when you start asking questions.
Like, who was this girl?
Yeah. But I watched West Side Story for the first time because she was always saying about how much she loved it. And we had it on DVD. And I was just like, okay, I'll sit down and watch it. And I remember you came in halfway through. I was towards the end. And you were like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm watching West Side Story. And you were like, really? And I was loving it at that moment. The songs had just... I think by that point, I'd already seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Once Upon a Feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
South Park, Bigger, Longer and Uncut had come out. And that was like one of the most groundbreaking musicals. I think that was actually the turning point. I was like, yeah, musicals are cool. But I saw West Side Story. And then I was just like, well, I enjoyed that. So let's watch Rocky Horror Picture Show. Everybody goes on about it. And I watched that and I'm like, wow, that was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. I'm now kind of wanting to watch more Disney films now. I want to go back and sing Hakuna Matata for The Lion King. Like Gary says, I wanted to go back and I totally remembered that Bedknobs and Broomsticks was a musical. And
so I was on a nostalgia trip as well, and this was part with having a younger brother who enjoyed one of these films in particular more than I did, and that was, it's a British film as well, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
God, I love that movie.
I mean,
Dick Van Dyke, man.
Dick Van Dyke, exactly. A legend. Was it the Toot Sweet, the Tootsie? What's it?
Toot Sweets.
The Toot Sweets. The Chitty Chitty Bang Bang song itself. The weird child catcher.
The child catcher.
Oh, you scared the living
freaky as hell. All of the old men that are being stretched on the rack at the end. Yeah. It's got some dark
there
moments.
There is some dark moments in that.
Talking dark moments. Sound of Music.
Yeah.
World War II.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Let's get this family out of here before the Nazis come along.
Yeah.
Well,
it's based on a true story, isn't it? Sound of Music.
Yeah.
There was a Von Trapp family.
But I always find that brilliant that you can have a musical with some really dark moments in, and the songs stick with it. Like for example, Grease. I'm not a big fan of Grease. I think Grease 2 is the better movie.
Don't get me started.
But I'm just going to throw that out there because Grease.
Why is Grease 2 the better movie?
We'll save this for later questions.
Right, okay. Sure. But in Grease, in Grease 1, you've got the whole point with Rizzo, who could possibly be pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's an underlying story, an underlying part of the story that only pops up every now and again. You're mainly focusing on Danny and... Oh, what's her goddamn name? I forgot it. Sandy. That's it. I remember. Danny and Sandy. They're the main characters. But there's the whole teens having sex, growing up really fast. And the songs, they don't take anything away from it.
Well, isn't there's an underline about Grease, the song Grease Lightning.
What about them having sex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, again, putting things like that in. But I remember watching Grease when it came out at the cinema.
Yeah.
And that
Went over a lot of
totally
people's
over
heads.
everyone's heads. Yeah, didn't know until I was older what the
The
conversation
reference,
was.
when you hear,
that
hear the
song.
lyric.
You just don't. But when you look at, like we said, with West Side Story as well, Grease and West Side Story go very neatly hand in hand with each other, with the whole two different classes, battling it out. And you've got these love interests in the middle of it. I mean, Danny and Sandy, it's such a beautiful story. And I was going to say the actress's name, and it's kind of
Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John, that's right. And Olivia Newton-John, she only went on to do 2 more films after the success of Grease.
Yeah.
And John Travolta
It's gone on
exploded.
Of course.
And I personally like that about musicals, where you get this story, you chuck in a couple of songs, a couple of musical numbers, big dance numbers, and then you take this random actor or actress that has probably no idea what they're stepping into and has to take about the next 6 months in practice to perform their pieces.
Yeah.
And the film explodes on their single part. You said it with The Great Showman, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Logan.
he's an amazing singer.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Singing. The same thing with Mamma Mia. I mean, it's not the greatest movie in the world.
I walked in part of that movie and I saw James Bond on the screen singing, and I just was like,
Like,
yeah,
what?
everyone in here's fine, I'm out. I'm out.
Pierce Brosnan, I can totally see singing. But, Meryl Streep, I'm like, wow, she's playing her part. She's such a great actress anyway. And she's playing this part of this
Well, she's
mother.
got Cher with her, so,
That's
Well, I've actually not seen Mamma Mia too. So,
Okay.
yeah, spoilers, Gary.
Yeah. So, no, I know Cher's in it.
Here we go again.
But, yeah, no, the first one. But I was going to wait until I like musicals, but there's, again, this thing about some musicals, obviously, I like, and other musicals, not so keen. And actually, what is it about the musicals that kind of grabbed me or anything like that?
Right.
So you were talking about what's the American High School the musical?
High School, yeah, High
right.
School.
Never watched
Is
High
it
School
like
the musical.
Hairspray and
I've watched
Hairspray's different.
Hairspray.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Because that's Ricky Lake in the original one,
Yeah.
which I like Hairspray.
Yeah.
I like the original Hairspray with Ricky Lake because I kind of walked into it blinded. It was on TV one day and I was just like, I'll just watch this. And then it started becoming a musical and I'm like, it's going to be Grease all over again. But it was the underlying story of this girl who was, overweight.
Trying to get accepted.
That's it. The faction that she's trying to get accepted by didn't want her, but then she meets a guy. And I think I don't know if he was a black guy in the original, I can't remember, but I know in the remake with John Travolta as the mum, it was a black actor and it was this whole 1950s 1960s segregation kind of before Martin Luther King story behind it. Once again, another dark element they filled with songs, and you kind of just go with it. But Hairspray and High School Musical is just a remake Grease. Disney's way of trying to remake Grease.
Seen it.
I've not seen it. I
haven't seen it either, but it's a bunch of kids in the school singing.
Clips and I've seen trailers, but I don't know. Was it Zac Efron?
Zac Efron, yeah.
But I don't know. That whole, I suppose, modern American schools and everything like that don't appeal to me. Any films like that. It's the same with all the other was it the singing one?
Of course,
the singing one. No, what's it? They've made about 3, 4
There's
different
loads
versions.
of them, isn't there?
They've keep making them, keep spewing
There's
them
a
out.
Step Up. There was.
That's the dance one.
The
Yeah.
dance one, and
I mean, High School Musical birthed a lot of those.
there's about 3
type,
High School Musicals.
type. They've had 3 High School Musicals.
There were so many imitations of it. It felt like there were offshoots of it.
Yeah.
So
But I think at that time there hadn't been another big musical, and so Disney were cashing in on the success of their kind of their TV shows with actors like Zac Efron and
Or they like the TV cartoon presenters, you know, the Nickelodeon presenters.
Yeah, the Nickelodeon
Yeah.
heartthobs, and then they're like, right,
Yeah.
we'll put you in a film. This film has now exploded. Kids are rushing to go
Like the
and
Hannah
see
Montana type
Oh.
thing.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
That kind of stuff as well. The kids are rushing to go see it, and Disney are like, awesome, we're now making money from this. Let's make a sequel. Kids go to see it. Let's make a third one.
Yeah, they just keep doing
not
it.
so much. The first one, I've never seen it, but probably would be a good musical. You know, you'd enjoy it, but you'd be like, the story, like we said, there's a lot of better stories out there.
For me, it's, you know, for musicals that I would rewatch and revisit, there has to be a good story. There has to be good characters. I don't like the whole showbiz kind of feel.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels tacked on.
I remember,
or forced.
you know, after growing up with the classics like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Oliver and Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and one of my childhood favourites is Pete's Dragon from 1977, which got remade a few years ago. But yeah, I mean, I tried revisiting it. You know, it was late, like a Saturday night, Friday night, been out drinking, came back and was like, I'm on a nostalgia trip. I want to watch Pete's Dragon. I want my imaginary friend back. And I started watching it. I was like, oh, like, I'm going to be sick now. It was so awful.
What, the original one?
Yeah, it was just like, I grew up
mate.
loving this as a child, but looking at it again, I was like, I cannot stomach it at the moment.
Well, I mean, obviously you just got back after a heavy night of drinking. I think I put that down to it, but...
But for me, like I said, it has to be the stories. And, you know, after I detached myself from doing theatre musical stuff and leaving those classics behind, one of the first girlfriends I had, it was just like, okay, you know, I'm going to show you horror story. The horror story. Little Shop of Horrors. The other one, the Tim Curry one.
Rocky Horror.
Rocky Horror, sorry, yeah, Rocky Horror. Yeah, you know, I'd never seen it before, and I just remember the first time ever watching it and
Are
seeing.
you just blocking that out because we tied you up?
Yeah, a little bit. It's like the memory of.
Right.
was
If
quite
anybody's
episode.
seen that, I don't know what happened. Is that
But
still up on there?
I think
it's still up,
it
yeah.
went down and up a few times.
Down, up, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's still up. But I did rewatch the film for that review anyway.
Yeah.
And it just brought back the memory. The first time ever watching it, just seeing the big red lips come up on the screen, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Man, I edited that. I could sing you science fiction. Seriously, I sat through that opening so many times I could sing you the words.
But that's
Fucking
another
Janice.
great musical.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is my second top one, actually,
Nice.
Rocky Horror. And again, I've seen it as a stage show as well.
Well,
Dressed up
it's one of them.
for it.
I would say for me, of all musicals, it is the number one.
Yeah.
It's the one that I've been closest to. You know, growing up with going into my teens with the rock and roll and the goth stuff and the alternative scene. That was like the Bible of of that imagery.
But the other one you said is a close second, Little Shop of Horrors. I totally forgot about that one.
Little Shop of Horrors is good.
Yeah.
And it's had quite a few
mean,
interpretations
that's
and stage
Steve
shows.
Martin.
And Steve Martin, Rick Moranis.
Yeah, getting up and doing his dentist fucking sing along. What was it?
Again, another dark movie.
Yes, yeah, I do like the dark movies.
What's the squeaky voiced woman he falls in love with?
I can't remember.
Oh, and everyone's writing into the comment section now like, you you researched this musical stuff and you don't
Because
remember.
we forgot about this one.
We totally forgot. There were so many.
The same girlfriend that introduced me to those films, she dragged me to the cinema one day.
Yeah.
And I was, this was after Romeo and Juliet had done really, really well.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
The Leonardo DiCaprio
Yeah.
one. And the same director is now releasing Moulin Rouge.
Right, yeah.
And I was just like, I got taken to the cinema and I had no idea
What
what
it
it was. And then when I got the ticket and looked at it, and she just smiled at me like, yeah, you're watching this with me. And it's just like, it's called Moulin Rouge, what the fuck is this? And of course I sat there and the music number started and I'm just like, oh
it's a musical.
shit, how long is this going to go on for? But I loved, it's Ewan
Nicole
McGregor,
Kidman,
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, brilliant.
What's he called? Guy from Romeo and Juliet, Tybalt actor.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No,
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
Just fantastic, and of course very dark story.
I was gonna say,
but
again,
it was I actually really enjoyed not just the musical numbers, but the way it was edited, the camera work, and everything else. And that was when I sat back in my chair and enjoyed the whole damn movie.
Yes.
And who could forget Kylie Minogue as the fairy?
Yeah, I've actually
I
forgotten
did.
till
Yeah,
then.
I did as well. But that's another one. Like I said, Ewan McGregor breaking into a music number. You know, I think he just done Phantom Menace by
Around
that
that
point.
time, yeah.
So he's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
to us.
exactly around that
you know,
time.
He's come off of Trainspotting after being a heroin addict.
Yeah.
And now he's stood with Nicole
Singing.
Kidman doing a
Yeah.
massive singing number, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, they've taken the time and just to put their effort into these musical numbers.
It's a film I would rewatch as well. Like I said, just for the visuals, the colours,
Yeah.
and
Do
everything
you know
with
what?
it.
I need to rewatch that again.
You need to
Yeah.
I
watch
haven't
Moulin
seen it for a
Rouge.
while. I need to watch it again. It is in my top 10.
Nice, very good. Yeah.
I've got to admit something, actually, to this.
Confession time.
Yeah, confession time. Well, I love all types of music as I've gotten older, but I especially love Pink, the female singer. And when their version of Moulin Rouge comes on, I've never seen the film, but I sing that song. I sing it, you know.
Honey, you just sing all the time.
Yeah.
He sings in the supermarket. You know.
So, Linda, should we have a look at your actual top 10 list? We'll go through them?
My top 10 list. So obviously I had West Side Story.
Yeah,
That was the number one.
That's
Yeah.
my number one. Rocky
Yeah.
Horror is number 2.
Yeah.
I've actually got in there Nightmare Before Christmas
Very good,
as
yes.
well
yeah.
because I love that movie.
Is it a Christmas movie?
It's one of my
Is it a
favourite Christmas
or
movies as well.
Halloween?
You know?
There's both. There we go. Grease, the original. Grease, number
Grease 2's
1.
better.
Grease, number 1.
Grease 2.
Moulin Rouge, Labyrinth.
Yeah, oh yes,
David
Labyrinth.
Bowie.
Wow.
You can
So we've
got
rock,
Henson,
you know. Yeah, oh yeah, obviously.
Can't go wrong with
Can't go wrong with
David
that.
Bowie.
Singing in the Rain for your kind of going back now, your old school.
Singing, I got Singing in the Rain. I wrote that one down as well.
Yeah, it's a
1952.
classic.
And,
Absolute classic.
It was Debbie Reynolds, which was the mother of Carrie Fisher as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Fantastic.
Love that sequence. The sequence of him in the
Singing in the Rain is
in the rain
phenomenal.
with the umbrella,
Yeah.
unforgettable.
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz, obviously childhood
Yes,
memories of
absolutely
that.
love that
And then
movie.
my Disney, I picked kind of like 2 Disney ones. My 2 favourite Disney ones really, Aladdin
Yeah.
and The Lion King.
Nice, yeah. Lion King for me.
Yeah.
You could literally just make a whole list just out of Disney movies.
Of
You
course,
could do.
yeah.
It's actually
Because
could.
I wrote down Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs as well, which I've seen that film maybe 2-3 times, but just I will never forget the whistling dwarfs on the hi ho.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Gremlins kind of has that moment.
Oh,
but
yeah.
whenever that
So
scene pops
funny.
up in Gremlins, I just want to watch. Don't want to carry on watching Snow White with the Gremlins.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is actually the 10th highest grossing film ever made. Mm-hmm. And of
Wow.
course, it's the 2nd highest grossing musical ever made.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
What is the first highest
It's
grossing
their first,
movie?
isn't it? Their first
The
animation.
highest-
Disney's first animation.
It is as well, and also I think it won an Oscar.
Yeah, it did.
I'm just trying to check over my notes.
Probably for the animation.
No, it did. Yeah, I'm
music.
pretty sure
I think
it did.
the Sound of Music is the highest grossing musical of all time and the 3rd highest grossing film of all time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Underneath Star Wars and Gone with the Wind. And so in the top 10 films of all time in terms of making money, 2 of the 10 are musicals.
Or musicals.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
And it's just such a magical way that you can just let yourself go.
It has to be said though, just looking at from the Oscars and the reputation for musicals in the Oscars, Chicago, which came out in 2002, is the last musical currently to have won Best Picture award, and that's the first time a musical has been given the Best Picture award since Oliver.
Right.
So you're looking at 30 years, or more between. When was Oliver? 1968.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a big gap. So
Oliver Reed as well.
I mean, the big thing, obviously, the change, like if you look at going back to the history of musicals again, obviously, 30s, 40s, 50s were at their peak in terms of the big extravagant musicals
shows,
and things like
yeah.
that. And then, what you've got to recognise is the fact that in the 50s, TV came in.
yes,
Yeah.
And obviously that had a big influence over what people were
Also the World Wars.
watching. After the war, I mean, that's why kind of 40s and 50s, that's why musicals actually were very popular, because it was escapism for people.
Yes.
It was a pretty, terrible time period for people to be in, and going to see musicals was that escapism, the feel-good moment and stuff, and that's why they became very popular. And then obviously after that you've got TV coming in and people being kind of sucked into TV, and that's where musicals took a bit of a dive.
Yes.
And that's where they actually started going to Broadway then, looking at what the Broadway shows and picking out ones you've got people like Barbara Streisand, Funny Girl.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, where what's Liza Minnelli?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's another big one.
She was another one, big one that came out in the 60s and things like that. So they were trying to kind of revive the musicals then, and then obviously you had Disney bringing in a lot of their musicals as well.
Yes.
And funnily enough, just like with a lot of films, you know, they took a hit in the cinema because people weren't really wanting to go
to
watch
the
them.
cinema now.
But once those musicals then hit home services, VHS and on TV, like you said, you were watching it every single Christmas.
Well, that was when Disney then started to re-release all of their films on VHS. Then it was the big re-release on DVD.
But, I mean, I remember watching The Wizard of Oz at home on TV
every Christmas. It'd be on,
you know, for the first time.
It would, guaranteed.
Yeah. Oliver and Wizard of Oz.
And I just thought it was groundbreaking the way it went immediately from that black and white open set.
Yeah.
Into a colour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is absolutely amazing. Completely took away the fact that it was a musical to me. I was just like, that's absolutely great filmmaking. You know, when you're watching a Disney film at home, you get lost in the animation when the musical number kicks in. I'm imagining now, is it Jessica Langbury? No, is it? Yeah. From Murder, She Wrote in Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah.
I've got her in my head right now, singing the magical words and getting the suit of armors moving. I'm trying my best to remember what the goddamn words are.
Substitutory locomotion.
Yeah. It's just getting that all together. It will give you such a nice, warm feeling.
I remember, is it Portobello Road?
Yeah.
Portobello Road, Portobello Road.
You've also got the Old Home Guard.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it was the fact that film had such a brilliant imagination. You know, the different spells that she would cast. The fact that they went into a completely animated...
That was amazing.
Yes.
They did the under the sea moment, bobbing along underneath.
Was that Dick Van Dyke?
No.
No, it's the guy from Love Bug.
And Mary Poppins.
And Mary
He was
Poppins.
in the dad in Mary Poppins.
Because he is awesome. He is so good.
That guy.
Yeah, we will get his name.
He is so good.
It's that guy and definitely not Dick Van Dyke.
No,
it's not Dick Van Dyke.
I'm going to be a bit controversial now. As a guy, I mean, I don't know if a girl, from a girl's perspective, can actually shed any light on this, but as a guy, it's always kind of difficult to sit down and watch a musical. You know, because nostalgically in your mind, you're just like, you just want to go back and watch cartoons and stuff like that. But I've had good dates.
You've had good dates.
Well, maybe
What's that,
you
then?
dated most of them with you, though. But it was something I realised that, you know, if you're a guy and you're at home right now, you're listening to this podcast, and your partner is
I know where he's going with this.
You know, and you're like, you're trying to make them happy, or you know, you want to do something nice with them, and you've already watched all of Game of Thrones, and you've just completed Red Dead Redemption 2 with them, and you don't know what else to do. They've probably got a favourite musical. They have probably got a favourite musical, and if you haven't taken the time to sit down and watch it with them, you are missing out on a good time. Because, like Gary said, you know, you went to the cinema with an ex, and you immediately looked at your ticket and was like, "Oh my god, I want to kill myself." She's dragging me to see a musical, but she wanted to see that musical, and she wanted to see that musical with you, and you ended up having a good time. So the two of you enjoyed the time. So many couples I know who I've spoken to recently, they're like, "Oh yeah, we went and saw Mamma Mia. What'd you think? It's not bad." And I'm like, your wife's not here. You don't have to lie to me. No, mate.
No, there is an epidemic that everyone is blissfully unaware of, and that is in the Southwest. Everyone loves ABBA. It's unconditional. You just do.
It's true.
And so
something about Waterloo,
it's weird, and you know, like I said, the Plymouth Cinema was the highest intake for Mamma Mia tickets in the country.
Oh wow!
Everyone, it's weird. We all the staff knew when it was coming out. We braced for it. We were like, "The film's going to do amazing."
Now, how many?
But it didn't actually do as well as Greatest Showman.
How many?
Still didn't do as well as that one.
How many tickets, right, sold for those musicals? Was a guy buying them to take his missus to watch them.
In the first few weeks, yes, there was lots of, couples, but then it was all the women that actually came back, just as groups of women, just to watch it again and again and again. And, and even those that were watching it for the third time were coming out in tears, they're just like, it's so good. The really emotionally charged film. Yeah. So it's doing what it needs to do very well to get them to want to watch it again.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I said, honey, from a girl's point of view, if you had said to me when we first met that you'd loved West Side Story, and I had battered it down and been like, fucking, giving it a massive negative review, we'd probably never have survived.
I have to say, actually, our first date evening spent together, whatever you want to call it. We spent a lot of time talking about movies and stuff.
We did. I was asking you what your favourite movies were, and you immediately went into Lord of the Rings.
Off the shelf reviews started. And we did. I can remember spending all night
just talking
about films that we enjoyed and stuff like that.
And it was, like I said, going back, when you said you watched West Side Story, there was part of me that was like, I need to kind of understand what it is that you like about this film, because you were taking the time to understand what I liked about Army of Darkness, and Evil Dead, and
he introduced me to Bruce Campbell.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think wasn't Ian's opening line a Bruce Campbell quote?
Probably. Yeah, no, it was.
Wasn't it? He actually used a Bruce Campbell line as a pickup line,
and it worked.
Married with Children.
Was it a Bruce Campbell? No.
I'm pretty sure you did, because you told me you were going to drop it.
I remember what I said to her about it. I'm pretty sure Bruce Campbell has never said what I said to you.
He might not have said that. No.
Yeah. Now, they're all at home right now going, what did he say?
What is it? What did he say?
God damn it. No, that's for another podcast. But, like I said, it was that point where I was just like, I need to understand what it is that you enjoy about it, and sometimes I think musicals do get that bad rep that people are like, oh God, it's just going to be full of singing. But like we've already stated, a lot of the really, really good ones have such a dark underlying story that if you're a fan of film and you like good scripts and great acting, that a lot of these musicals that you're missing out on have got these great stories that you could actually go, I can take or leave the songs and the dancing, but that kept me going.
Let's face it though, actually, and it comes back to the whole thing about, we were talking earlier about what makes a musical, because music actually is always played an important part in film.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Sometimes always. I would say it's more important because it's the music which...
The musical score.
Music tells you how to feel.
Yeah.
And people respond to music emotionally as well. So
and I think kind of that's kind of part of it. That's why musicals are such a big hit. Yeah,
I can't remember the specific films, but there have been films where a character is dealing with grief and loss, and you're watching them crying and getting upset, and you're watching the film and you're like, yeah, okay, I feel bad. But then as soon as the music notes kick in, you start weeping with the film, and it's like that is what music can do. And so it can uplift you and it can drop you.
Well, we get hit by so many questions sometimes of what is our favourite soundtrack.
Oh, of course.
And we've always talked about these great soundtracks, but musical soundtracks are just as good.
It's funny you say, because I watched Hereditary with Jason, and a sustained note came in Hereditary, and me and Big both looked at each other and we both went, da, 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 da. It was the Superman.
Right, okay.
The theme song to Superman. It was just it was the first note of the Superman theme tune is played, suspended in Hereditary, because it's like a haunting moment, and me and Big Ed both just went Superman.
Yeah.
Like, where's it was the theme tune, it was just like, just one note, and we're both uplifted, elated. Like, the first note, because the song, the music piece.
Shit, dude. My mind has just opened up on another level.
Oh dear.
Oh
dear. We're bracing ourselves.
Brace yourself.
Yeah.
Evil Dead, the musical.
Oh, I know, yeah. I've seen the musical. It's amazing.
It was amazing.
The fact that they got the whole cabin, they turned all of the situations into songs. Oh, it was brilliant. All the Deadites singing their own number. It's just like, it can be done. Because the first...
When we saw that, we were like, how's that actually going to work? And then
we sat and watched the whole thing.
And then we sat and watched the whole thing. And beat for beat, shot for shot, you know, they're reenacting on stage the Evil Dead movie with the whole cabin. And then every now and again, the guy playing Bruce Campbell or the Deadites would just break into song and sing the sequence that would normally be blood and gore and guts and, you know, screaming. And you're like, how does this work? How is this?
Because he still blasts them away afterwards.
That's it. The only bad thing about it wasn't Bruce Campbell doing the musical songs, you know? Another one I've always wanted to watch, and I've never had the chance, is with Anthony Stewart Head, Repo the Genetic Opera.
Okay, I've twice tried to watch that film. I think it had Paris Hilton in it as well.
Yes, Paris Hilton's in it.
But both times I ended up switching it off. I just got, you know, it was just meh. Yeah, I know it has quite a cult following, and
see, I only really want to watch it because A, it's a kind of weird sci-fi movie, and B, it's got Anthony Stewart Head in it, and his singing in Once Upon a Time with a Feeling in Buffy was some of the most heart-wrenching moments, you know, because he's telling this tale of how he's got to leave her, you know, and he doesn't want to, but he has to. Yeah, and then when he does his singing with Tara at the same time, part of me is just like, I need to see that goddamn movie.
Yeah.
I need to watch it, and I've only caught a couple of bits, but the bits that I watched, I was just like, what was I doing? Why wasn't I sitting and watching this, you know?
Yeah, I'm still meh with it. I don't think I'd ever try and watch it again.
Well, wait, somebody's going to
Patreon it now. Thank you very much.
Somebody will, yeah, totally.
You know.
Yeah.
But there is a musical I did want to bring up and talk about. I've mentioned it with Ian a few times in the past. Every time I bring it up, Ian always goes, "Oh, why do you want to talk about that?"
Right, what was it?
Tommy.
Fuck's sake,
see, there we go.
No.
I'd forgotten about that.
Tommy,
I love Tommy.
I'm going to tell this story.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you this story. Gary and I, you know, when we were sharing a house with a group of friends, his dad only lived about 5 minutes up the road, and every Sunday his dad cooked the fucking best roast dinner you could ever have. You know, threw all the trimmings out on it, all the sauces, bread. You would get so stuffed, and it was. And
then the dessert was there before you.
Yeah, and he's just like, "Here's dessert," and I'm like, "Oh my god, brilliant!" And Gary's like, "Dad, I gotta go home." And we play cards. It was absolutely brilliant. And one day, they put Tommy on in the background. Now, I've never seen Tommy. I'd seen Pink Floyd The Wall, and, well, that was trippy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd seen musicals up to that point and heard of Tommy, and I was just like, well, it's that Who movie, and if it's anything like Pink Floyd The Wall, it's going to be fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Right. When the TV explodes and baked beans go all over the floor and the mum's rolling around and... Was it Pete Townsend, the lead singer of The Who? Is it Pete Townsend?
No, it's Roger Daltrey.
Roger Daltrey. Yeah. Roger Daltrey's like, see me,
touch me.
Yeah, but that's a classic.
I know, I love it. I love that song. It's amazing. It's the first time where he's been ordered. You know, he's not been able to see or hear or feel anything, and he's just awoken from it.
Everything.
Why is he numb? Come on, why is he numb?
Well, it's because his parents were doing the naughty.
Oliver Reed,
while his dad was at war.
Yeah, it killed his dad.
Yeah.
His dad came home
after they thought he had already died.
And they smashed him in the head, and that's what he saw, and it blinded him or numbed him.
Yeah.
And then he played.
You've got Jack Nicholson in there. You've got Tina Turner's in there.
Again, very dark movie.
Yeah, exactly. Very dark movie. Elton John's in there. You know, Pinball Wizard. It was the first time I'd ever heard that song.
Yeah, brilliant.
Pinball Wizard's brilliant. Everything else
brilliant.
around it, it's like, what the fuck is going on?
It is the imagery where he's suffering when his dad's at war, with like all of the planes flying over and then all of them turning into poppies.
I mean, let's face it, when was that film made?
75.
Yeah, exactly. 70s.
Yeah,
come on.
Of course.
Yeah, they were doing.
Everybody was tripping in the 70s.
But it was the scene where he takes Tommy to the to Tina Turner, and she's running this weird kind of. I'm trying to describe the location, and she's got all of these needles. You know, she's got the succubus, the Iron Maiden.
Right.
She puts him in. It's a great big coffin thing with all the needles.
The needles in it, yeah.
She's trying to do blood transfers and things. You got the whole Marilyn Monroe cult. When they're all there trying to touch her to be healed. There's so many weird, wonderful moments in the film.
That it makes Pink Floyd The Wall look like a walk in the park.
And you've got the babysitter that molests him.
If anybody's not seen this, I Okay, this is a film to watch probably late at night. Maybe after you've been out.
After you've smoked a bowl.
Yeah.
Watch Tommy.
Yeah, that's the time to watch it.
Yeah.
I could watch it again. I'd still love it. I still listen to See Me, Feel Me. I love it.
I've totally forgotten that movie, apart from the baked bean sequence.
I think I was so traumatized as a child watching the film. That's why it's still with me.
Exactly. I remember sitting at your dad's having roast dinner and kept looking at the screen and saying,
You were horrified. The rest of us are just like, yeah,
You're
this is awesome.
It's Tommy. This is brilliant. I'm having dinner with the fucking Manson family. You know, it's like Leatherface's dinner. Put Tommy on. It's Christmas time.
Special event. We get Tommy on.
But we say it's all weird. I mean, like I said, some of the classics. When Mufasa dies in The Lion King, you know,
We got
Tommy to the back for the light.
How do you do that, honey?
Traumatic sequences. That's what I'm talking about.
I was going to go to Yellow Submarine, you know, which was around the same time as Tommy.
Yeah.
The height of the Beatles.
Yeah.
I could go with Yellow Submarine.
But the thing is with the Yellow Submarine is that was a band. And that was all of just their music instead of, you know, it's a different...
But not sung by them, I don't believe. I do not believe it's actually the Beatles doing the voices.
Not of the characters, no. But I think it might be their songs.
But
still.
Their songs.
But the people doing the voices are trying to be the Beatles as very close as they can. And you've got all the Bleem Meanie stuff.
Yeah.
The Apple Torpedoes, I think.
It was very imaginative.
Yeah, I mean, like we just said, you want to have a trippy ass evening, you know, grab some shit and watching
Tommy creatures
and
consume
Yellow
themselves.
Submarine.
You know, Wizard of Oz.
Now there is
Little
one
Shop
musical
Horrors.
that's been on my to watch list for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And that is Quadrophenia.
Oh,
Not a musical.
Yes.
Is it not a musical? I've been told it is a musical.
No, it's not a musical. It's right. Quadrophenia is a movie about a guy who joins up with the Mod Squad back in the 1960s. He's wanting to be accepted by his friends, and he just starts going crazy because they do a lot of amphetamines back in the day. You know, they were fighting against the rockers. The music is a big part.
Yeah, okay.
There's no song and dance numbers.
Okay.
So that's why I say it's not a musical.
This is what we've said. It's the same with obviously the big Bohemian Rhapsody. Is just
Okay, I was about to say
that's not a musical because it's about it's
the
about Queen.
story.
It's a biographical story about Queen, and obviously music is part of them, but it's not a musical.
No, because they have been bracketed as a sub-genre of musicals, and that is the biography stories like the Johnny Cash movie, Ray, you know, Walk
Tina
the Line.
Turner.
And so there's lots of big musical sequences in the film, you know.
But it's not the
narrative.
same.
That's the difference, I think. It's the fact that music is... The song and dance is used as the narrative.
Yeah.
To proceed the story, where the movies we're talking about, like with Quadrophenia, you know, the music is a lot in the background because it's of that time. You know, and it just fuels the sequences that you're watching. You know, I can't remember the main British actor for Quadrophenia, but he, like I said, he doesn't break into song and dance at any point talking about his life and how everything's going on. But he does emote while the music is playing. And I think that's sometimes where it does get a bit confusing. Yeah. Because, like we said, with films like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Like The Commitments.
Like with I'd say The Commitments goes in that same bracket. They don't sing to proceed the story. They sing at their venues.
Yes.
And that precedes the story. But then we have these whole massive talking sequences while they're dealing with all their emotional trauma. Mm-hmm. If they broke into song at any point during that and sang an original song, I suppose.
Yeah.
Voicing what they're talking about.
It's like Blues Brothers, you know, it straddles the line.
Yeah.
Because it has all these different artists and different song and dance numbers where it does turn into a massive song and dance in the middle of the street where everyone is dancing and choreographed.
Yeah, because I suppose the Ray part, you know, they go into the store to buy the stuff and then
everyone breaks out singing and dancing.
You know, that's
the same in the
really
church.
the
you know, the minister starts singing and then everyone's springboarding around everywhere and it's like, it's a big musical number.
Yeah.
Broken up with skits, you know, like a classical musical.
Yeah, but I'd say Blues Brothers walks the line more to classical musical than The Commitments or Bohemian Rhapsody or things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So what's your favourite musical of all time, Ian?
South Park.
South Park, bigger, longer, and
South Park,
uncut.
but I will not deny that I'm at the age now where I love musicals. Sweeney Todd was
Well, you
brilliant.
haven't mentioned about Sweeney Todd.
That film put me to sleep in the cinema.
Well, yeah.
I've watched it once.
Yeah, we watched it once and put it on DVD, and
I haven't watched it since.
No.
I just thought it was boring. I really didn't like it.
See, I loved it.
Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter,
I like
Tim Burton.
Johnny Depp.
Yes, I do.
It's the dark tone to it, I think, that a lot of people cannot get behind. You know, you've got Johnny Depp there singing, but he's looking mean as hell throughout the movie.
And cutting people's throats. Yeah.
Cutting people's throats. There's blood and guts going everywhere. And then he's dropping them down that big hatch and they're landing on their head. But it's so historically accurate as well.
It is.
Yeah.
That's
Perhaps
what
so
they
to
did.
watch it again, give it another go.
I was just thinking they should make a Jack the Ripper the musical. God. You just brought up Tommy and you're going to be like, oh no, you can't do that. Baked bean sequence, anybody?
Well, yeah.
Although, talking of musicals coming up, what's the one, the zombie one?
Anna and the Apocalypse, which is coming out.
A zombie Christmas musical. It's out imminently.
Imminently. I've seen the trailer to it, and I have to say, I'm not grabbed by it.
Which I find completely strange.
Because I like musicals.
Yes.
And I like zombie films.
Yes.
But the trailer just, I don't know. It just didn't. There was something.
A disconnect.
I can't put my hand on it. There was just something about it that was just, no, this doesn't work.
I think it's
fit.
also the fact as well that it's based in a British school, so it's very close to High School Musical.
In a way,
that's
yeah.
probably it.
You know,
I try to avoid school things.
yeah. We're not going into that one either at the moment. but that's the thing. You know, you sometimes you've got to find the story, like you said, in the musical. It's got to be able.
I think it's one of those films. I will watch it, but I won't go out to purposely go out to watch it like at cinema or whatever. But I'll wait until it's kind of comes out and then I'll watch it in my own time or whatever. But
once it drops, the thing with musicals, once they drop and the songs come out, that's if the songs aren't all over YouTube and Facebook where people are breaking into the song because it's so catchy, the film will just
die,
fall under the wayside.
Yeah.
You know, I can't think of any off the top of my head because a lot of musicals always do have that one song.
Yeah.
I mean, Uncle Fucker in South Park is
Cartman's mom.
right up there with, you know, The Wicked Witch is Dead from Wizard of Oz. You know, they just catch you. The tune just keeps you going. Like, I could sing this.
Yeah.
You know.
I know a song. No, go on, you know. That's the South Park movie.
Really? You don't like South Park?
No, I still love the South Park.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it in a long, long time, though.
Oh, man. It's really difficult to watch anything with Saddam Hussein in nowadays.
I know. I recently saw the South Park where Satan turned up again, and I was like, oh yeah, last time I saw you was with Saddam Hussein in the musical. Like, jeez.
Well, I remember the episode where he'd started a new relationship, and Saddam came back, and that was a bit awkward.
Do you find, is there many TV shows other than Buffy that did a musical number or just branched into musicals?
Well, I mean, you said there was one, I think you said in Supernatural? Was there one in Supernatural?
No,
the Wizard, they had Wizard of Oz in there. There's a Wizard of Oz world in there.
I can't actually think of any.
No. Scrubs did a brilliant episode.
Did they?
Yeah, a lot of people are now like, oh, Ian brought up Scrubs. Scrubs had an episode where a guy came into, it was a guy or a girl, they came into the hospital and they only heard people sing.
Right.
So the whole entire episode is the guys, the main doctors and nurses breaking into song, but they're only seeing.
I used to watch Scrubs.
Yeah, they're only being seen from this girl. Every time it's not involving her, they're just talking.
Yeah.
And then when she seems to appear, they break into this
There is
song.
a vague recollection coming back.
And towards the end of the episode, they're trying to cure her to see if obviously they can get rid of it because she hates it.
Right.
But I think that's the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
Star Trek never did one. There was never one on Babylon 5 or Doctor Who.
X-Files never did one.
Prisoner Cell Block H, I don't think ever did one. Imagine Breaking Bad as a musical.
American Horror Story had a musical number.
Really? And how good was it?
Jason Big Ed still breaks into it every so often. It's the alphabet, the name game.
Okay.
And it's the one where you just rhyme everybody's name
Okay.
with a word and you keep playing on the song.
I think we need to watch American Horror Story.
Yeah, I'm definitely saying if you two haven't seen American Horror Story, I think you
we have to do
quite
it
enjoy
like
it.
when we've got a whole period of.
Well, no, you'll watch it, and I'll just catch it in the background when I'm
Hang on a
working.
minute,
and stuff.
MasterChef's finished.
Yes, MasterChef has finished. That would have been a great musical episode if they'd done a musical episode of MasterChef.
Well, I think that's going to bring this section.
Wait, no. Wait, before my mind's gone into musical mode. I mean, what?
Yeah, before you break out into a song.
What? Yeah, what?
That's right, he does not have enough all the time.
That's no
different.
question.
No.
If you could turn one of your favourite things into a musical that we haven't already brought up already, what?
Doctor Who!
There we go. We've got Doctor Who.
I would have Aliens the musical. Well, I mean, there is a channel on YouTube that we discovered years ago that turned all those movies into a sequel. The one I remember the most is the Predator
I was going to say, they've got the Predator.
where Arnie's
musical
singing,
out
"If
there.
it bleeds, I must kill it."
Yeah.
It's just like-
Ripley with the "Get Away from Her, You Bitch" song.
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
be absolutely great.
Marines Were Leaving song.
I mean, you can literally turn any film into a musical, I think, and
You could. Whether it would work or not is another matter, but
it would work because, like you already said, the music has always been a fundamental part of films. And any film you think of, the sound, the original song comes on. You're singing it in your head. You're humming it.
Yeah.
How easy is it for a lyricist? Or I'm not saying it is easy, but taking the time to then make parts of that story into a song. Yeah, I'm thinking Back to the Future at the moment. Back to the Future. Back to the Future. We said it's not a musical because the music is a very big, powerful thing of it. But when he breaks into the song of Earth Angel on stage, exactly, the power of love. 1.21 gigawatts song. That would be a great song. Marty, I'm in the West, and they make 2 more. That'd be great. Now you can end it.
okay.
We'll be back in the third part answering your questions. And welcome back to the third part of the podcast. We'll be answering your questions.
Woo! I love this part.
Always the favourite part. We got a lot of questions to go through, so let's get started.
Nice.
Oh, God.
First questions from Matt Midgley.
Hey, Matt.
Hi, Matt. I've just seen your question. Oh, my God.
Fantastic as always, guys. And my question for the next podcast is for Linda. And the question is, if you could see a female version of an iconic male lead in film, who would it be
God.
and why? Fist bump.
This is not the question to ask me when I've had a bottle of wine. I don't know.
Die Hard with who would you have as the female? Swap a male out for a female lead?
Male lead. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see a different version of Bruce Campbell, wouldn't it?
I knew you were going to say that. That was exactly what I was thinking. I was like, a female version of Bruce Campbell would
version
be
of Bruce
brilliant.
Campbell.
With the chains on the arm, the blue shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, good answer, yeah.
I could see myself doing that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Next Halloween.
Yeah, female Ash.
Female Ash.
It's a girl's name, isn't it? Ashley?
Ashley. Exactly. Well, there you go. Totally.
I mean, and the main lead in the Evil Dead remake was a girl.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Which was, they were trying to be the Ash character. Nice. Good call there.
Okay, next question is from the artist formerly known as Aaron J.
Hey, Aaron.
Here's my question for the next podcast. If you could spend Christmas anywhere in the world, where would it be? Aaron J says, personally, he'd like to spend Christmas in New York.
I would go to the Antarctic in an abandoned weather station, and I would take the thing with me.
You would take the thing alien with you?
Really?
Yes, the one that I keep in my basement along with Leatherface and Michael Myers, No,
it's a fantasy question anyway, almost.
I mean, I personally always kind of see the thing as a Christmas movie because it's got all the snow and ice behind it. And I could literally, if I could, I would edit in Christmas decorations into the back of the movie to give it that Christmas feel, so I could watch it at Christmas time.
And just swap out the thing music with Rock Around the Christmas tree.
Yeah. That would actually
just
work.
add an eerie bent to it.
Yeah.
Oh dear. No, No, the obvious answer to that question is anywhere as long as I'm with my family.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
See, it doesn't
yeah,
really
I'd go with
bother
that.
me where I am, because I did a Christmas in Florida. And that was weird because I'm so used to it being raining and windy and horrible,
yeah.
and in Florida it's like got shorts and t-shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be bizarre.
It was
I
bizarre.
don't get the whole Australian thing, like
No.
like Christmas Day on the beach.
Yeah, it just
barbecue.
feels weird.
Well, what else would they do? I mean, it's like 100 degrees over there in the shade
Well,
on Christmas
that's
Day,
true.
you know?
But it just doesn't compute, does it? Christmas
No.
and hot
In the
weather.
sun.
No.
No.
For me, Christmas has always been staying indoors, you know, and you know, being somewhere snowy, like a log cabin.
Yeah.
You've got like 8 inches of snow outside.
Yeah.
You want to go outside, but you know you can't because it's dangerous. So you're just going to stay in. And what do? You put a film on.
Yeah.
You whack out a board game, and you just spend, like you said, spend time
Although
with your
saying
family.
that, the one Christmas where we did have snow,
Yeah.
right around Christmas time, which was how many years ago? Eight.
Yeah.
Oh God, we're going to do this
7,
story
8
again.
years ago.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
doing this story again.
Okay. And what happens? Ian manages to hospitalise himself on Christmas Eve.
Yes, yeah. I was trying to tidy up the house to get in preparation for the Christmas evening because I wanted to watch Scrooge, I wanted to watch Die Hard, and my awesome wife had come up with the idea that she didn't want to buy an electric tin opener anymore, so she bought a hand manual
No,
one.
it was electric tin opener.
No,
It was just the way.
No, it was the hand.
wasn't.
It was the
Okay.
hand manual one because it serrated all the edge, and we said that that's what they do. But we went cheap, and I took them outside, and I slipped on the ice, and I sliced my hand open really deeply. Christmas Eve, I had to spend 6 hours up in the waiting room, and then the doctor said we can't do anything until Christmas Day, and I'm like, you are fucking kidding
It's
me.
staying overnight.
And I had to spend Christmas.
You got back
night.
about 3 in the afternoon.
Did.
I did. You were going out the door at that point because you'd spent time with the family having roast
Yeah.
dinner. You know, it was Dylan's second Christmas, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I completely missed it because I was in hospital. And then for the rest of the holiday as well, I had my hand all strapped up and
Slinged
Yeah.
up. And so,
Wrapped, yeah.
you know, everything had to be cut for me. You know, I had to...
So that's what snow and ice does for you on Christmas Day.
Dangerous.
Ian is no longer allowed to take recycling materials out of the house
I am
on
not.
Christmas Eve. He is banned from it.
The tuna can situation comes up so many times with me.
All the time. You are a hazard, Ian, sometimes.
He is,
You
yeah.
really are.
Right, how
To
did
yourself.
How did we get where? Right, yeah, if you could spend Christmas anywhere, do not spend it in hospital.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
That's not there.
Do not know.
Okay, next question's from DMC Campbell.
Hey, Campbell.
Hi, Gary and Ian and the lovely Linda.
Oh, thank you.
3 questions for this podcast.
Nice, I knew he was a big one.
Gary, would you at least agree with me that Happy Gilmore is perhaps one of Adam Sandler's finest work, and that the film is a masterpiece of comedy greatness? No.
No.
Secondly, Linda, do you like the 1988 Christmas movie Scrooged, starring Bill Murray?
Definitely. We have to watch that Christmas Eve every year.
Every year.
Apart from the year he was in hospital, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is excellent film.
Mainstay, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's up there. I know there's a lot of Scrooge movies out there, and I love them all. You know, I love the whole.
I love
Christmas
the Muppet
Carol.
one, yeah.
The Muppet one. Oh, that's great. Another great musical.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, we did,
Yeah, another great musical. But Bill Murray. It's Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Bill
You
Murray's
know,
part of Christmas now.
He's part of Christmas. He's completely evil at the beginning, and by the end, he's looking at you through the camera, telling you to spend time with your family and loved ones and stuff like that. And then when that song breaks in at the end, how was it? Give a little love in your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Sit right through the credits.
Thirdly, Linda, would you be open to doing a movie review with Gary and Ian on the 1974 film Towering Inferno, if someone should request this?
Yeah.
I love Towering Inferno. People that know me know that I love disaster movies.
I love disaster
Okay,
movies.
okay. We've done a few reviews.
Earthquake.
We did
yeah,
Earthquake,
we did
yeah.
Earthquake. Those 70s disaster movies
Yeah.
were iconic of the time, and I love Towering Inferno.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think I love Towering Inferno, but I think I love Poseidon Adventure just a little bit more.
Yeah,
Just a little bit
Yeah.
more.
I like the Poseidon remake.
It's because it's got Kurt motherfucker.
Because it's got
Russell.
Kurt motherfucking Russell in there. Come on, people.
Of course, I knew that was the reason.
You love your disaster movies. I mean, how many times do I have to watch fucking John Cusack drive a limousine somewhere?
I can't help it. I don't know. I used to, honestly, I don't know what the obsession is.
Yeah,
As a kid, I had books and I used to read like these books about all the different stories, historical stories of disaster, real life disasters. I was just obsessed with them.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's absolutely brilliant. So the answer is yes, Campbell. She would totally be up for it.
Totally be
Definitely. Next question's from Ava Langren.
Hey, Ava.
What do you think is the best decade for film? And what film best represents that decade?
Easy.
Ava's choice is, in her opinion, To Kill a Mockingbird. I think it came out in 1962. The film represents the beginning of America's change as a nation. There was a lot of innovation in film subjects during this time as well. My answer is going to be, if anyone's been listening to the channel for a while now will know, I love the 80s. So for me, the 80s is my go-to era of films with The Thing, Aliens, Terminator, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Empire Strikes Back, Stand By Me, The Goonies, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Poltergeist, The Lost Boys, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Fly, RoboCop, Escape from New York. You know, those were just the ones that just immediately dropped. It was I love 80s in film because, you know, one of the main reasons is the practical special effects were just amazing. It completely took you into another world. You know, more so than, you know, I've learned to love the classics because I grew up with the 80s movies, and then watching films before that decade, I was just like, the practical effects just weren't believable anymore. Yeah. And so for me, that's why I love the 80s to begin with. You know, they got really gory as well. I think they got really inventive with the technology. The films became a little bit more liberal and diverse. But they were also, you know, really silly and really smart at the same time. But for the most part, they were really fun movies. Yeah. Really fun. So rewatchable, in fact, that most of my library of films is in the 80s.
I was going to say, any time with John Carpenter, I think. John Carpenter is...
70s, 80s. It was his main...
Well, that's why he's such an amazing director, because he grew up watching all those classics.
Of course, yes, yeah.
You know, that paved the way for him, and then for so many people after him. And
for the Wes Cravens and Toby Hoopers.
That's it. And so many people worked with him, like James Cameron worked with him. You know, he's worked with Toby Hooper and John Carpenter's Body Bags. You know, that he's the king of the 80s films, I suppose, for me personally. But he also kind of hints that I should go back and watch the others. You know, when you sit down and you watch Halloween and they're watching Forbidden Planet.
Yes, yeah.
You know, I'm like, I need to watch that film, and then you get opened into the 50s sci-fi B movie.
Yeah.
You know, I've recently started watching a lot of TCM.
Okay, yeah, Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah, I just put it on the background because I know there's going to be some classic black and white movie that I've never heard of in the background, and I stick it on, and I'm like, and that was a good time for cinema. Look how good these guys are acting.
I still like them.
Them with the giant ants. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. But do you know what else is? Obviously, I think up until the 80s, obviously you're reliant in either going to the cinema to watch films or waiting for them to come out, and so they showed on TV. Yeah. And then obviously in the 80s you had the
home media.
Video came out, and that's had a big
video rentals.
Video rentals.
Yes.
Yeah, had a big kind of impact, I think, on film industry and people watching a lot more films.
Yes. Yeah.
So definitely 80s, brilliant time.
I think the 90s as well did have some great films. I think the last, you know, the very end of the 90s, 1999, I think it was The Matrix. Yeah. You know, and that for the whole of the noughties, every film was trying to do the slow-mo, you know, jump kick thing. You just saw it everywhere.
Wire work all over the place.
So the noughties had some good films, because that's when we got like the Lord of the Rings and stuff. And so, you know, there are great films from all the decades. There really are.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because I was trying to think of films from the 70s as well.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, with 70s, practical effects.
It's weird, actually, really, with 70s.
They had a lot of good car movies. Cannonball Run,
Yeah.
Bullet,
Action movies were really good.
Vanishing Point.
Yes.
Anything with fast cars, that was, like you said, practical effects that you're watching.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this is absolutely brilliant. And going all the way back to some of the classic westerns where they have these massive, huge, epic set pieces. And I think as we get further into this generation, 2018 now, films are going to have to be massively epic for anybody to take any notice because of how much we've been inundated with over maybe the last 100 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I consider that from the noughties to where we are now, it's been remake, rehash, reinvent city. That's the era of film we're in at the moment.
Yeah.
That and the superhero.
That's it. The superheroes are now this decade.
That's totally.
It's just like, do you remember any film from 2010 to 2020? Oh yeah, the Marvel
Thor,
movies,
Avengers,
Batman, and all those. Fucking,
Batman. Oh yeah, he had a couple of films.
A couple of films.
The Dark Knight. I know.
How many Oscars has Marvel got? None.
Well, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Next question is from David Bimwell. Hey
Dave.
And this is a question for the ages.
I love this question. I love this question.
The film Iain and Linda disagree with each other about the most.
Grease 2.
Now, why? I mean, Iain, you do this to me all the time. You're like, yeah, Jaws 2 is a superior movie than Jaws 1.
2 is amazing.
And like all the rest of the world looks at you like...
He's got an obsession with the second...
They're always bigger. They're always bigger and better.
No, they're not.
Yes,
They're not,
they are. Godfather 2, Terminator 2.
No. I don't like Godfather 2.
Well, that's your opinion, man, and you're entitled to it. But it doesn't change the fact that Godfather 2 is an absolutely
right back at you.
But I'm right. People would agree with me. Terminator 2, come on, is a superior sequel to Terminator.
There are some films, sequels, which are good.
Yeah.
Grease 2 is not one of them. And the reason why... is obviously Grease, massive film.
Yeah.
Stars John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, very big. The impact that film had was massive.
Flying cars and everything.
And then they bring out Grease 2, which is to me just a rehash of the story.
Yes.
Okay, they've just rehashed the story and they've brought in what's her face.
Michelle Pfeiffer,
and I can't even remember the guy's name.
The guy didn't do anything after Grease 2.
Who are not. I'm sorry, but they are not.
Cool Rider is a good song.
Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. They're just not. And it doesn't have that same impact and appeal that Grease, the original, has.
Now, I will agree with you on all of your points there, not just because you're my wife, but you are right. But at the same time, on a personal level, as I said earlier about Grease, when I was younger, I was subdued to the Grease movement back in the 90s that came back with all the music coming back in, and I just did not get the first movie. I just didn't get it. I just didn't understand.
Do you hate it because of the fact that you had to perform all of those songs over and over and over again?
What songs can you remember? Gary, can you remember any songs from Grease 2?
No.
Cool Rider.
Not
exactly. Can you remember songs from Grease?
Barely. Okay.
But you can.
Yes.
Yeah?
Reproduction.
People don't. You are the only person on this planet, I think, that actually can recall.
Okay, right. We've just put them through and everyone's like, oh my God, Iain loved Grease 2. How can that be? World War Z, dear. I bought you World War Z for Christmas.
I made him.
No, you didn't.
He vowed that we would not have that film in our house.
I bought it at the same time as I bought Alien Covenant.
But the thing is, all right. I haven't read the book.
Sure, yeah.
Right, so I don't know, and I can understand, obviously, because I know, having read books before and that's been turned into movies and they don't always work and stuff like that. So I appreciate that totally and all that. But just as an action movie with the special effects and stuff like that, okay, it is it's a film. I'm not saying it's the greatest film on earth because it's not, but it's one that I quite happily watch.
Because you get to see Cardiff.
Is it the?
Brad
Is it?
Pitt.
You know, I'm
sorry. I do.
I think I know. I have the connection with you, Linda. That because of the sequences I like in World War Z, and I've just realised it. It is the apocalypse. It is the disaster movie.
Yeah.
And
as
that
you
is
know,
what we're getting.
that I am a
It's
sucker
the
for disaster
epic
movies.
scale disasters like that is what we get excited for when we watch those films.
Bullshit.
This is it.
Shit. They go to Israel. Oh God, let's go to Israel because luckily they managed to put up this massive, huge wall
But
before
that
the
scene of all the
infected can
zombies.
get.
I know
climbing
that's
up, that's
epic when they're
amazing
leaping and grabbing the helicopter and pulling it down.
Why? Why are they running up? Why are they running up there? Oh, because none of those pilots have the flu. So they're
No, they're running up the wall because they hear the bloody bells and the singing and everything that's going on.
Yeah,
the
luckily,
people on the other side.
luckily Brad Pitt's wife didn't ring him at that moment like she did at the other time, or nobody fell over and shot themselves accidentally in the face. And then they get on a plane, they fly all the way to Cardiff for some
After it
little old
crashes.
lady. The little old lady. That's what does it.
I like the film up until the plane crash.
No, it's just no.
Anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
Those two.
Most of the time we do agree on.
We do most of the time, but
films.
those are the two films definitely that we don't
Because
agree
Grease
on.
2 is better.
And Grease 1 is far superior.
Reproduction.
I'm going to get to the very next question. It's from Aaron Gardner.
Hey, Aaron.
Great podcast, guys. Would like to know your thoughts on the Puppet Master films. They're one of my favourite franchises, and I don't think they get enough love. Many thanks and keep on doing what you do. Now, the Puppet Master films series has been around since 1989.
Yeah.
13
There are
movies.
13 movies in the series,
goodness.
with The Littlest Reich coming out just this year, which I did actually have it as I can't remember if I talked about it in the last podcast. I did have it as a note because I watched it.
Yeah,
I was going
yeah.
to talk about it. I might have skipped it for time. But I've only seen about 4 or 5 of the Puppet Master movies. I remember the first one very, very well.
The first one's the best one.
The first one is very good, and that film alone kept my interest in watching tiny monster movies like the Ghoulies. There's Monster Toys versus
Demonic Toys
Demonic Toys,
versus friggin' Puppet Master. Yeah,
Yeah.
They got.
and I just think it's because the puppets that they created from the first film were really quite iconic.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's kind of why it's still going, but it's still suffering because they haven't managed to break away from that. The original one, I remember, it's got the drill head guy.
Yeah, he's in a lot of them.
It's got the
guy with
skull
the blades,
face
the
guy
cowboy.
with the knives. You got the baby. I think there's a baby that breathes fire. Is there?
Don't remember that one.
But
There's the leech lady.
yeah,
There's the guy with the spinning faces.
I mean, I think
There's the pinhead guy, the guy with the really small head and the really big bulky body.
I really wanted to watch the second one, and the third one. You know, because I'd seen them a lot of times in the video store when I was younger.
Yeah.
But as I got older and I realised that there were better horrors out there.
Yeah.
You know, some that actually put these ones. These are the Puppet Master are fun. You know, it's up there with Critters, but Jesus Christ, Critters got really bad, and so I'm like, do I really want to subject myself to
If we did
30
a Halloween
movies?
special of the Puppet Master films, we would. I don't know if I could take it.
Well,
Because The Littlest Reich I thought was really bad. Like there was
it Hellraiser Judgment bad?
it was bad.
Would you watch Littlest Reich or Hellraiser Judgment?
Jeez, I would take Hellraiser Judgment.
Yeah, because
over
you're a
Littlest
fucking
Reich.
douche, man. You like that
And I
fucking
hate
movie.
Hellraiser Judgment to an extent.
No, you. Oh.
But yeah, so the Puppet Master movies it's no. I need to revisit them again, but I don't want to.
Probably
that's enough for me.
Probably just like
it only
Hellraiser,
has I mean, it doesn't. I mean, there are fans. Obviously, Aaron, you're a big fan of it. There are big fans, but it is only a small. There is only a small section of you that are still watching these movies. Well, I guess there's going to be enough for them to still keep going.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see Puppet Master having the same appeal as the 10th Hellraiser movie. You know.
No, well, I don't know. It'd probably be more fun.
Yeah.
I'd probably find them the later ones really funny because it just gets more.
I mean, it's got to be now one of the longest running horror franchises with 13 films.
Is it bad? I've not actually watched any.
Any at all? Well,
No.
You're not really missing much, you know.
Sorry, Aaron.
Some 80s deaths. That's about it.
yeah. I mean, that was
Totally
the thing with the Littlest
bypassed me,
Reich was that there was a monster that did have a flamethrower, and they flamed the front of this head. And it's literally, you can tell it's just a mannequin being shook in front of the camera of the back of its head.
Yeah.
As it sets fire. And I was just like, that's so awful. It's like, jeez. Maybe if they had more budget, but they don't have the budget to do what they need with the puppets. And I always found that there's not enough puppets in the damn films.
Yeah.
There's too many people waiting to be killed by them.
It's mainly just the main puppets going around doing their thing, having their little moments nostalgically. But then again, I've never watched any past the first one, so there might be some really good sequences in some of them.
There are a couple of cool deaths, but a lot of faffing
around.
Yeah, to get to them.
Yeah.
Next question is from Sean Pierce.
Hey, Sean.
First time asking a question. Great podcast, guys. I've been watching your reviews for at least 2 years now, and I've been introduced to so many films because of the channel. You definitely have some of the most comprehensive reviews going.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and thank you for all the effort you put in. It definitely shows. Do you think the days of originality in the horror genre are dead? Will we ever see the modern day equivalent of Freddy, Jason, or Michael hitting the big screen again, or do you feel that it has all been done before? And I was trying to have a think of like films that came out this year even, and I thought of Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was fun, but at the same time it's not that original. It's like, it just reminded me of the Crazies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting for me. Yeah.
Quiet Place was
Pretty
fine.
original.
Yeah, you know, just taking the whole concept
That's
of...
a sci-fi horror, isn't it?
Yeah, sci-fi horror, yeah. The Ritual was pretty good. You know, it's the same formula though, just done very well.
Yeah.
A bunch of people get lost in the woods. They decide to take a shortcut, get lost after taking the shortcut, start getting picked off mysteriously one by one. What is it? Is it a creature? Is it a monster? Or is there somebody hunting them?
Yeah.
You know, Annihilation, I thought was really good.
Isn't that sci-fi with Natalie Portman?
Natalie Portman, yeah. I thought that was packed with lots of interesting sci-fi ideas and imagery. Hereditary.
Obviously, yeah.
Again, I'm going to put that. I mean, again, it's nothing new, but it is, and that brought me to me just saying, you know what? There's no real modern day equivalents to the iconic slashers. We've just seen Halloween this year. Jason's on his way back. Freddy won't be far behind. We'll see another Alien movie.
Yeah.
We'll see another Terminator movie. We will see another RoboCop movie.
But they will not be
the remakes.
Horrors.
They're all remakes and rehashes.
Yes.
I mean, to be honest, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to
create something totally
that's
original.
really original now, because so many different aspects, genres of horror have been done already.
They have to take something and turn it on its head, invert it, and then, you know.
The problem they have, though, is when you have an original idea, a lot of big companies are scared to take that risk.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's a part of it as well.
Oh, we don't know if this is actually going to make the money back.
Yeah.
When they take that risk, it really pays off because nobody else has done it all year, and then this one original film comes out and you're like, oh my god, that's better than all the other stuff I've seen.
Yeah.
But it means that every other film company is saying nope. You know, when you say modern day equivalents of those classic horror characters, it's very easy just to slap a mask on a killer and send them off. I mean, they had Hellfest in over Halloween, and you had a mass killer going around and killing some teens at a horror festival where people can actually be corpses. And I'm like, that's where we are. That tells me exactly where we are in the horror generation. Is that nobody gets scared. Nobody gets scared anymore because everyone's like, oh, I've seen this before. And so you've really got to chop their head off, hand it to them, and laugh at them for them to go, oh my god, that was scary.
I would say the most modern iconic horror figure of our time will be Jigsaw from the Saw movies.
Yeah, but even he's starting to waver a little bit now.
Yeah, with Saw. I mean, it's not even him anymore.
No,
but it's still the puppet. You know, is still the icon of the series.
I mean, it's always Jigsaw. Yeah, and like you said, Jigsaw is the modern day equivalent, but he has been around almost 10 years now.
Well, yeah, but I would still say that he is the most modern one that's had a film series that's done very well for itself.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's all remakes.
Yeah. All remakes.
Next question is from David Morris.
Hey, David.
Bro podcast as ever. My question is, what is your best 80s action film? Excellent work as always. The three that came straight to my head: Aliens, Die Hard, and RoboCop.
Yeah.
There's so many more, but it's for 80s action movie. Aliens.
Yeah. Definitely,
without a doubt. I could watch it over and over and over again. You know, sometimes I'll be on YouTube and, you know, something, related videos come up, and it's like an Aliens clip comes up and I'm like, yeah, I'll just put that on.
Yeah.
And then, that clip ends and I'm like, I want to watch more Aliens now. I want to watch this sequence. I want to watch this sequence. Just,
the drop pod sequence.
the music, the visuals,
sequence.
the performances, the
all
creature.
practical effects, the creature. I mean, John Carpenter. They live. Well, Big Trouble.
They Live.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, Big Trouble in
I'll
Little
go
China.
with Big Trouble in Little China. That's
Nice.
a great 80s action movie. Do you?
No,
You go with Aliens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Aliens, totally.
Next question is from Jay Hodgkinson.
Hey, Jay.
Least favourite movie
Movie
series from any
series.
genre. Mine, Resident Evil. Straight up. No, I didn't even have to think
Yeah,
about
go on
it.
then. What are you going to say? Came at me with Grease too.
I don't know. I still like the Resident Evil.
You haven't
films.
watched them all in a row, do you?
Not one after the other, like in one go. No.
Do you remember?
But I have done.
You have watched them.
I have watched them all, like over a short period of time,
Yeah.
like a couple of night, whatever.
Do you remember
one night.
when you watched the final chapter with me?
Yeah, I did remember that, but that's the final one. But up to that point,
But your least favourite series?
least favourite movie series. Oh, I don't know.
High School Musical.
I've never watched them, so I
So
can't.
can't bracket it.
No. Yes, that's really difficult actually because you tend to not watch them,
Yes, yeah.
not want to actually watch them. So.
Because often I'm not, because I thought about it and I was like, there are some series which I hate, but I still love the first film.
Yeah.
You know, like for instance,
yeah.
The Jaws, franchise. I love the first film.
First couple of films.
Yeah, but it's like, but I don't
first
hate
two.
the franchise, but there are at least 2 films in there which are
But
garbage.
the others are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What movie?
The Critters franchise,
I would say, for me personally, I'm not a big fan of the football hooligan series that British
Was it like,
filmmakers bring out,
I know
like
what you
Green
mean.
Street and the football.
don't
Was it This Is
watch them,
England?
yeah,
Or-
not- yeah,
No,
that's it,
This Is England. This Is England's totally different. That's set around the England football game, but that's more gritty and urban.
Yeah.
I'm looking at like your London-based Cockney, hard-nosed kind of gangster films. I like it how they become more modern day with all these introductions of different gangs, but I'm probably, people are going to be slating me. British guys are going to be slating me. Remember, I'm Scottish, but the craze, the craze don't.
Scottish heritage.
Scottish
Yeah,
heritage.
yeah.
The craze don't really symbolize gangsters to me.
Okay.
It was, what I'm talking about, like the firms. I'm talking about guys getting together in the pub, getting themselves absolutely pissed, and then smashing the pub up for a laugh. And then they make these films out of them, which we always say sometimes, you say it yourself, Gary, when we watch, like, when I talk about Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood, and you're like, oh, that just glorifies gangsterhood. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't. This does, gangster number one, and Snatch is okay, but have
It's
you
not
ever
a
seen
film series.
Have you ever seen Layer Cake? Well,
I've seen Layer Cake. I didn't enjoy it.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about massive movie series all in a row, Hellraiser.
Yeah, but I like the first 4 films to an extent.
That's because you're sick and
What about the Exorcist ones?
Exorcist? I do enjoy. 1 is okay. 1 is
It's
brilliant.
been a long time since I've seen
2
the other 3.
is trippy as hell. 3 is really good with that giant scissor.
There has
killer.
been a revival of appreciation for the Exorcist sequels.
Yeah.
Kind of been rediscovered over the last few years.
I can't think of another film series that has the same film but with 2 different titles. in series.
Yes, yeah.
And when you watch them and you don't realise it'll blow your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay, next question is from Brahma Jesper Rasmussen.
hey Rasmussen.
Linda, your top 5 horror films.
My top 5 horror
Thanks
films.
for a great show.
When I first saw this question, I was like, oh God, right, okay.
Yeah.
And then actually when I started thinking of horror films, I actually found it quite difficult to put my top
Put
5.
5 together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. I did put out of the Aliens. I love the Alien movies.
Yeah.
Alien was probably my first proper horror movie that I ever saw, and that
Awesome.
my dad allowed me to watch
Yeah.
it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my dad was big. He loved movies. God rest his soul. He would
Yeah.
have loved Ian. they would have got on like House on Fire. He really introduced me to a lot of movies, and he let me watch as a kid The Alien.
Wow.
And freaked the life out of me, especially the
dinner sequence.
The dinner sequence, but I actually prefer Aliens.
Yeah.
As a movie, so that was. I do The Thing.
Yeah.
Right, not because of Ian, but actually The Thing was in my teen years. I remember watching that round my friend's house, and her brother had hired it.
Nice.
Out, the rental on, and we went round there and he put it on, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And that totally freaked me out.
Yeah.
So definitely The Thing is up there. So those kind of like up there as the
Alien,
top two.
The Thing.
Yeah.
Right. The other films was quite difficult, like Silence of the Lambs.
Awesome, yes. Yeah.
Love that film.
Yes.
That sparked me, actually, we were talking about movie series. Wasn't it? Recently, as I kind of like, I don't know what it was, but I watched that one and I thought, oh, I want to see them all.
The Hannibal Lecter series of films. Yeah.
You
So-
stop at the third one because the last two get...
I purposely went out and bought those. Jaws.
Jaws is a great series. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, it's the horror movie itself. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jaws.
Absolutely.
As a movie, totally. And then I've got Poltergeist. We did obviously a review on the Poltergeist.
Yeah. You reviewed the trilogy with us.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, that video is
the
lost,
trilogy.
which is sad.
Which is very sad.
Yeah.
But Poltergeist, definitely the first one.
Yeah.
Really kind of sticks in my mind. So that's kind of like top 5. But if I was going to go on, Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first one is
first one, remember very distinctly. And then I do like The Predator. I like Predator.
Wow, yeah.
I love the original Predator
one,
with Arnie in it. That really sticks. And the other one I put in there is The Fly.
Yes,
Jeff
Cronenberg.
Goldblum.
Yeah, I love that film.
Because I did. That's so I was thinking really those horror movies that really kind of stick in my mind.
Jeff
that
Goldblum,
I don't mind go back and revisiting a number of times.
I need to watch The Fly again. It's been a long time.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff
Goldblum is amazing.
He's having a revival of his own, isn't he now?
Yes.
Gina Davis as well.
Gina Davis, Great. So the next question is from Seamus McCooey.
Hey, Seamus.
Any particular favourite reviews you guys have done? Keep up the good work.
I have always really enjoyed the regular show review that I did with Dylan.
Nice.
It's just one of those times where I could sit down and watch a film with him and then sit on camera and talk about it. And it's one of the few reviews that's actually stayed up, for a very long time. We had the Lego review, which was the first one we did. And it was me, Gary, and Dylan. But obviously it got taken down. We got it lost. And I was just like, gosh, fuck it. Luckily I've got a regular show now. I enjoy doing them with Gary. It's fun when we argue and, he doesn't realise I'm right. But when I do them with Dylan, it's like I'm talking to myself and arguing with myself. And I just...
This is how it is at home.
Yeah.
They are so alike. It's frightening.
There's going to be a point, there's going to be a point, I'm really scared of this. There's going to be a point one day I'm going to sit him down and he's going to watch the thing and he'll turn to me and go, And I'll be like, what do you mean? And he'll be like, well, Dad, come on, who was that guy in the beard? What do you mean, who was that guy in the beard? That's what really, really scares me. But doing regular show... doing regular show.
Too much like you.
Yeah. I guess I enjoyed the Fido review we did with Jeff.
Yes.
And the Warm Bodies review we did afterwards.
Yes.
I enjoyed that. That was when we transitioned from one location to another.
Yeah, we've always had really great ideas for skits, and then we're planning and we're looking. We're like, right, can't afford that. Can't afford that. Right. Let's just record it.
Yeah, so no skip.
we just sit down, we've got to get this video up and running because everything's gone down over the last 3 days and we've got no video for Thursday, so let's just sit down and talk.
Yeah. I guess I love doing the Thing review. Waited years and years to finally review the Thing, so I love that video. I love doing Dances with Wolves review as well. Enjoyed putting that one together.
Yeah, that was a beautiful long movie.
Yeah.
I have to say, because I've done a few reviews with you guys.
Yeah.
But actually, my favourite review is the one I did with Hannah.
Oh,
the Rocky Horror
Which
one.
is the Rocky Horror one where we got to tie up you guys, and we
you got to dance at the end as well.
We totally took over, and it was just
my idea.
me and Hannah.
I remember saying to Gary about doing Rocky Horror, and him just looking at me like, nope,
don't do that.
nope, not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but we need to break out and do nope. And then I just had this idea of like, well, why don't we just step out of it?
Yeah.
You know, we'll make this whole skit where the girls have taken over.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we did Earthquake with you, we did Sucker Punch with you, Poltergeist Trilogy. The Poltergeist Trilogy I really thought was the best one because when we all got to the third one,
we were all in agreement.
We were in agreement that it was just terrible.
Terrible shit movie.
Shit on a franchise. Yeah.
Carol Ann.
Oh, don't.
Carol Ann.
Why did they do that?
Oh, because they had no ideas.
Yeah.
All right, next question is from Hannah. Speaking of Hannah. My question is, does Ian like West Side Story as much as Linda? And if not, what's his favourite musical?
I don't think I like it as much as Linda. I mean, I do like it on a film level, editorial, you know, the script, the music, everything, all that is absolutely brilliant. Favourite one, like I said, is South Park.
Yeah.
You know?
Very good, yeah.
If John Carpenter made musicals, those would be good. Evil Dead, the musical's pretty damn good. You can check that one out, Hannah.
Alrighty, next question is from Fernando De Luca.
Hey, Fernando.
Hi guys, love your reviews and your chemistry together. Sorry if this has been asked before, but I was wondering, how did you guys first meet? Cheers and keep up the great work. It's been asked about 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, we haven't reiterated it.
I think in the very first podcast, in the question segment, I think, or maybe even in there somewhere, because we knew it was the first podcast, we knew it would be asked a lot, so I thought I'll just mentally note to talk about how we got introduced in the first episode. But maybe you guys can talk about how you...
What, how we met?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do the story?
It's funny, actually, because it's actually kind of Gary's fault, actually. Because me and Gary used to work together. Yeah. So, as some of you guys might know, I'm a teacher, and Gary used to work in the school that I worked in. And actually, first time really getting to know Gary was on a speed dating. They did this. I know it's strange, but it was in school. They did this thing about getting to know all the other staff and team building and all that business. And they did the speed dating thing, and I ended up with Gary.
Yeah.
And
sorry, Ed.
So I actually knew Gary before I knew Ian, and then there was a club that we kind of used to kind of like going to as a rock club.
Yeah.
And I went there with a friend of mine, Jamie, and who was another teacher who also knew Gary, and obviously kind of bumped into Gary down there and stuff like this, and he introduced me to Ian.
Yeah.
So that's how kind of me and Ian met.
Well, I mean, it was a lot more skillful than that.
Yeah.
You know, on my side.
Here we go.
You know, I was living with Gary at the time. Like I said, he was working at the school, and I'd just been paid for my job. And Gary's like,
actually had some money.
Yeah, I actually had some money. We're going out tonight, and I was just like, yeah, okay. You know, I got some money in my pocket. I'm feeling pretty gangster. You know, at this point in my life, I had decided that I didn't need girls in my life, mainly because I wasn't getting any.
So making the decision not to.
You know, when you're hanging out with Gary and he's just like, hey, look at me, and all the girls are flung to him, and I'm stood there like, yeah, I'll be over here in my corner waiting until we get home. But I had gotten myself ready, and we got down to the club, and Gary and I walked in, and for a lot of people who get this, Wayne's World, when Wayne first looks up at Cassandra and he sees the Dreamweaver sequence, that was what it was like when I saw Linda across the room. And I was just like, God damn, who the hell's that? And Gary's like, oh, it's Linda, that's who I work with. I'm like, oh, you're going to introduce me? Yeah, okay. So we walk over, and there's 4 of us stood there, and we're all chatting, and I'm looking at Linda, and I'm thinking, God damn. You know? And Gary and the other girl at the time, they were like, oh, we're going to go off to dance. And they left me and Linda alone. And Linda is looking around with this look in her eyes like, why the fuck have I been left with this giant ginger guy? You know, she's looking for any one of her other friends. And I'm stood there like, you got to make a move. What are you going to do? Can I buy you a drink? And she's like, yeah, okay then. So
do you remember what the drink was?
It was a vodka and coke.
That's right.
And we got up to the bar, and there was nice little space at the bar. It wasn't too crowded, and I got the bartender's attention. And I'm looking at Linda, and I'm thinking, right, okay, this could be the closest you get to a girl all night. So at least you've got to actually try. If you don't try, you're just going to be sat at home with Gary later going, God damn it, I wish I fucking tried. So just going to try. And I'm looking at Linda, and like everybody would know, I'm a big Duke Nukem fan. Love Bruce Campbell. You know, the one-liners. Yeah. If you can't hit a girl with a one-liner, there's something wrong with her. You know, or there's something wrong with you. You haven't said it properly. But I'm looking at Linda, and she's wearing this really beautiful. It's like a 50s style dress you're wearing.
No, I didn't.
It was definitely a flowing dress.
No, it wasn't. I was wearing a black satin skirt actually.
That's what I always get dresses and skirts mixed up, don't I? But it was all,
fashion's not his thing.
Yeah,
who knows fashion doesn't come into it.
And I was just looking at Linda, and I was just thinking, God damn, she's fine looking. And I said, I started laughing, and she turned to me and she was like, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "Oh, could you just spin around for me, please?" So she does this nice little twirl on the spot, you know, and I'm like,
obviously had a few vodka.
Yeah. And then I was just like, "Can you do it the other way?" So she twirled around the other way, and I just kind of let out this little laugh, and she went, "What are you laughing at?" And I just looked her in her eyes and went, "I'm thinking about all the nasty things I want to do to you." And I did not know that line would work. I thought, just throw it out there, see what happens. If she throws the drink in your face, fuck it, you try. You know, if she doesn't run away screaming, well, the rest of the night is on, you know. And that was it. From that point on, you know, she came back to mine, told me that she didn't want to have any kind of relationship. I was like, okay. And then it was Monday when I was at work. Yeah. And I got this text from this number I didn't know saying, "Hi."
Got his number off my friend.
Yeah. "Hi, got your number off of Gary. I was hoping we could meet up again." I'm like, "Oh, yes." So gentlemen, if you're ever trying it. One-liners kind of, you know.
They can work.
Kind of energize out your own Bruce Campbell, your own Jack Burton, you know. Yeah. Just...
I do also have to credit it to my friend Jamie, though, because she did say to me, she said...
She was a wild card.
Yeah, she was a wild card. She said to me, once you go ginger, you'll never go back. That's true.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Love you, dear.
Very good. Oh. Alrighty, next question is from Lewis Chineri.
Hey, Lewis.
Hey guys, great content as usual. If Disney, Fox approached you to come up with a story to finish off the Alien prequel series, following on from Covenant, and how the derelict would finally get to LV-426, what would it be? Keep up the great work. David's piloting it. It crashes into the planet. And credits.
Okay, no, right, we'll expand from that idea, because I was thinking the same thing. Okay, so you got a ship of colonists. You've got space truckers flying along. They see this derelict.
So we get introduced to a whole new cast again.
We get a whole new cast. There's about 7 or 9 of them. No, hear me out, dude. Hear me out. Right, you got the derelict just floating, derelict in space. Right, and you come across it.
Why is it floating in space?
I'm getting to that. They go aboard it, okay, just like the first one, nostalgically, ha ha ha. They get aboard, they find David, they reactivate him, he's deactivated, they reactivate him, and he tells the story about how he was the android on board the Covenant, and it was attacked, and the people had been brought upon here, and he came aboard, and he's been deactivated, and hasn't been able to stop whatever. There's a couple aliens running around the ship, you know, but he's actually trapping them on board so he can make more, because he's got loads of eggs and not enough aliens. And then
doesn't he have a whole ship full of sleeping, colonists?
Yes, but with all of his experimentations to try and expand on the Queen,
he's gone through them all.
Because he's gone through them all, and he has finally managed to make a Queen, but it's the stage before the Queen we know from Aliens. And so he tries to capture the lone female aboard the space trucking crew to try and use her womb to expand it. She fights off, kills a lot of the aliens, damages the ship crashes. David is thrown out of it. He's not destroyed, he's thrown out into the void.
Like an alien at the end of a movie.
And the ship crashes into LV-426. Boom shakalaka. You like that?
Yeah, I mean, It's that it has to end with that ship crashing there with no sign of David or any other crew.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is because I hate the idea of the fact that in Covenant he turns up to the engineers' home planet and kills them all without being shot down, without any retaliation, and the fact that this species went and colonized and created life on all of these different planets in the cosmos, that they only reside on one planet would lead me to believe that the rest of the species would come after David and there would be a war with him and the Xenomorphs versus the engineers that would come after him for what he had just done.
The massive plot hole
on top of
is the pilot.
The colonists being woken up in the middle of a scrap between the android and the engineers.
So they would have this massive fight and one lone engineer would escape on a ship.
Yep.
Carrying a facehugger that he doesn't realise he's got on board.
Yeah.
And tries to get the alien eggs off the planet before David can use them properly.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, because we've got to get the space jockey in there somehow. Yeah. And he's got to die at least.
And somehow, you know what, David, the android, his last fuck you will be to activate the distress signal, which would cause Ripley and the crew to come there. Yeah. And so it's still him that's going, I caused this.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Fuck you, David.
Man, we even tried and they still sound shit.
Yeah. It's like, but they've got no choices. Like, what else can they do now? They've shoehorned into pointless prequel territory.
They have to do it or they're going to end up doing...
It's got so confusing now, isn't it? The whole timeline,
Why?
the stuff, including Aliens and Predator.
Alternate timelines. Non-existent timelines.
It's just,
Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Amir Osman.
Hey, Amir.
Hey, guys. Thanks for answering my question on the previous podcast. You say I have 3 questions, Amir, but I'm going to say you've got a lot of questions.
I was going to say, that looks like more than 3 questions.
Number 1. What are your favourite Stan Lee cameos? Ooh. So that's kind of an easy question to start us off with, and I'm going to go with Mallrats.
Yes. Yeah.
That's one of the best and most honest and raw Stan Lee moments. And I would, you can partially credit Kevin Smith for making Stan Lee as iconic as he become, because Mallrats has a cult following, and that film celebrated Stan Lee and all of what he's done, and that just kind of grew beyond Mallrats over the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Didn't you and you took them to see Teen Titans?
Teen Titans go to the movies, and Stanley popped up in that, and he's just like, I'm here just for the cameo. I was like,
the joke of a joke.
I was brilliant just seeing him turn up in that. I really like him in Hulk when he comes walking out the building with Lou Ferrigno.
Yes,
Oh, I like him when he's on the planet.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with the Watchers. Yeah.
Or when he goes to cut Thor's hair.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so many.
There's so many. Yeah. Oh, well, apparently they recorded a whole bunch to go over the next few years.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit morbid in a way that the studio just went, look,
that's fantastic.
Stan Lee's only got so much time left, so just film a load of these.
Yeah.
So it don't matter which film it goes into, we'll edit it just around him.
No,
we'll
totally,
just
that's good.
behind him,
Yeah, which is cool. But I mean, we're not going to be done seeing Stan Lee for quite a while. Okay, second question revolves around John Carpenter's The Thing, and all of them really evolve around John Carpenter's The Thing.
Right, yeah.
Now, would you ever like to see a sequel to the film?
No.
Or is it too perfect of a film that not having a sequel is better for the film's legacy? And
it's absolutely perfect.
Like I said, I like the idea of it being explored in comic books and video games, but not in the film format. If you did like to see a sequel made, how would you want it to be like? Would you like it to be like the video games or something totally different?
You want it to be in the video game, and only with the video game, John Carpenter turned around and went, "This is canon. You know, this is canon. Childs is dead.
Yeah,
McCready's still alive. You know, you don't know if McCready's infected. You don't know if he's carried on his storyline from the comic books and stuff like that. But I've always loved the way that Childs is dead. You know, because it just means that at the end of the Thing movie, where you're questioning which one of them is the Thing, neither of them, and that's how dark it makes the end of the film.
Yeah.
You know, sticking it in onto a film says, "Oh yeah, we're trying something, and it might be canon, and it might screw up." I've lived with the 2011 prequel hate from everybody for so long that no, you're not getting a sequel.
Okay, next part of the question is, could Blair have been infected when he was dissecting the dog thing corpse.
Yes, because he puts the pencil onto the thing and then he puts the bit into his mouth, and that's what he's checking on the computer later on to realise that he touched his lip with the pencil and now he is partially infected. So he tries to cut all communications, stop anybody from escaping before he completely turns. Then he turns in the woodshed and becomes the thing.
It's like a machine, isn't it?
It is a machine, but it's also wrong. Because John Carpenter himself said no, he did not become infected during that sequence.
I know.
And that it was an accident that he didn't catch.
Mean to do.
That the actor did.
That is absolutely fine.
But
It
that
wasn't in the script.
It wasn't in the script, no. It's not how he becomes thingified. But the question is it possible? And the answer is yes, it is possible. Based on what we've seen from the thing creature.
Intended.
It wasn't intended, no.
But at the same time, we never know when Blair gets changed. So
Exactly,
that's why I always just go, well,
Yeah. So in your opinion, how did Bennings get assimilated?
He got grabbed by the thing.
He got grabbed by the thing. But he's wondering whether the thing reached out and attacked him, or did Bennings turn around and see it and got curious, then approached it, then got ambushed and attacked?
Probably a bit of
I reckon the thing just tentacle lashed, grabbed him and pulled him in, and then we see him.
I mean, we only see him covered up, but you got to imagine that this thing would have skewered him.
Yeah.
Like we'd seen in the prequel and pulled him over and been a lot
that's
more
how I
boring.
imagine it as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any kill by the thing that you like? Also, is there any deaths of the thing that you like?
I do like a few in the prequel. I mean, I know the film's bad, but when the thing comes running out the corridor and that guy just steps out like, hey, what's going on? And just gets
impaled.
Skewered. And he's on the floor, and if she doesn't get burned, he's now going to be another thing, and it's going to be so fast.
I've always liked Pop Palmer's transformation, killing windows and
every single
being
one
incinerated.
Every single one in John Carpenter movie is iconic.
Of course, the defibrillator sequence.
The mouse. Even the bit at the end where Gary gets it in the face. You know,
the hand mailed.
You do. It's not gory, but it's still creepy because he's stretching his face and it's part of his arm now.
And so, how would you like it if both the Thing film scenarios were reversed, as if it were the Americans in the Carpenter's film who discovered the Thing first, where they played the roles as in the prequel, and then, which led to the Norwegian group in the prequel facing the situations in Carpenter's film, like McCready flying a helicopter and Charles shooting the dog thing running towards the Norwegian base. I mean, it's
completely. Yeah, I was going to say it's completely obvious that the Americans are basically the Norwegians because they destroy their base and kill everything there.
But this is what made me realise how terrible again the prequel film is. How terrible its ending is.
Yeah.
Right.
If the original film didn't exist, the ending to the Thing prequel, if it was its own film, is a fucking awful ending.
Why?
Because imagine that was the first film you see, and there's no sequel. Original film is in this case, and the ending is she blows up an alien and she's stuck in a ravine, and then one guy goes chasing the dog through the snow, and the film ends. And you're like, well, what happened then?
What?
You know, it would just be an awful ending on its own.
I think you have to read the next part of the question. Aaron's kind of point though, because he's trying to kind of link in terms of the camaraderie and bonding with the different groups and the Americans and
but both groups had their issues with each other, because McCready's an outsider, doesn't like bonding with anybody.
No, he is right, because I'm looking at the notes. The Norwegian camp, the Norwegian people are all kind of like the Americans. Everybody gets along. McCready, spends a lot of time on his own.
The only people that don't get along is the guy that's been brought in and the female lead.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Halvorson. But Halvorson is a douche. You don't have that douchey character in John Carpenter's.
No.
You know,
the American camp.
They bring in these Americans in the prequel to go, hey, look, it's Americans. Just like you could have done the whole film without those Americans and just kept it all Norwegian. That might have been a little bit better. The camaraderie is a lot better in Carpenter's, but that's what makes Carpenter's superior, because when they start to fracture, it really hurts you that these friends are now at each other's throats. In the prequel, they're still trying to be friends even when they've got flamethrowers pointing at each other, because they're talking to each other in Norwegian. I'm your buddy. Don't trust those guys because they can't understand.
And
what
I suppose as the viewer, as the person that's watching the film, do you form the same kind of attachments to the American group as you do to the Norwegians?
I like the Americans a lot more. and I think it's just because of the actors. The actors in the prequel, I do like their relationships, but they're over so quickly. They die so quickly. Like,
you don't get to really kind of engage with them and know them.
That first guy that gets skewered, I will admit, I have no idea which one of the characters he is.
No.
He literally turns around and goes, get somebody, and gets skewered and pulled away. And then they start talking about, oh, look, he had this metal implant and he had this. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to die next? Oh, her.
Yeah.
She turns now. Well, what was her job here again?
Yeah.
You know, with John Carpenter's, you know kind of what Palmer and Childs and Bennings and all the guys do. And maybe because they're such a smaller, tighter group.
Yeah.
My last question is, after watching your reviews for the Thing films and Horror Express, who would win in a clash between the Thing and the Alien from Horror Express?
The Thing.
Hope it's not a bother asking plenty of questions, as I like to listen to your answers and opinions on them, Aimer. I would say maybe the Thing from Horror Express, because it's got the eye thing. It can just get the Thing from range. Just complete
and do what? Take over
the Thing's body. Yeah.
And the Thing's body is...
Or it can just kill it from range. It's just going to need to look at the Thing's eyes, and the Thing just needs to quickly shield its eyes or just get fucking dead.
Right.
Whatever alien power it has.
Okay, Gary. That's a good idea. But what if the Thing doesn't have any eyes and is just a mass of tentacles, flesh and teeth?
Well, then the Horror Express alien's fucked. It needs to catch it when it's in a human host.
But then, if it catches it in a human host, would it in itself just become a hybrid?
I think it would just kill the body. It wouldn't kill the Thing. It would just kill the host that the Thing is in.
Yeah, but it would. But then it would have. Not only would it have that red eye advantage of being able to kill people and take them over, but it'd also be able to shoot tentacles out with spikes and just start to turn them into things themselves and giant body mass. That's for the we didn't burn it. Burn it with fire. Burn it with fire.
Next question's from Jack Hawkins.
Hey Jack.
Hey guys, here's a potentially toughie for you all. Who is your favourite? Rick Mail or Adrian Edmondson? P.S. Did you know that Aid was in Star Wars Episode 8?
Yes, we did know.
Yes.
Yeah. He's right at the beginning on one of the terminals, turns around and speaks to...
Imperial officer.
Yeah. Rick Mail.
Rick Mail.
He's done more movies that I've seen him in, that I've loved him in.
I will admit, I love Adrian Edmondson as a person.
Oh yeah,
Totally, I've watched a lot of programs where there was a program that was on ITV many years ago where he was going like cooking with people in the afternoon, and he was just doing this little cooking show. They'd cook a meal, and he'd be talking to them.
Yeah,
and it was just so.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was just so really nice to see him not crazily jumping around, bashing crazy. But it was also at the time where I think Rick Mail had passed away.
Okay,
and I just couldn't help myself but sit there and think, he's lost his best friend.
Yeah.
You know, it's like seeing Stan without Laurel.
Right.
Stan Laurel? No, it's Stan Laurel, Oliver Hardy. That's right.
Yeah. I knew what you meant, yeah.
You know, it's just, they go as a pair, but I've always loved...
Rick Mail's characters have always been, I think, the stronger characters.
It's what's led a lot of the comedy.
Yes.
And Ed's just reacting to it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
He was just an icon when I was growing up of just so crazy. I was like, I can be crazy.
Yes.
Because this guy's crazy.
And it's funny.
Don't be crazy. But look at him.
Yeah, toughy, but I'd still go for it now. Next question's from John Smith.
Hey, John.
Games you loved, hated, or maybe thought were too hard as a kid that you feel differently about as an adult. I never hated these games, but the first ones that came to my mind was Dungeon Keeper and Command & Conquer. They were tough games when I was a young gamer. Games that I had difficulty with, I had to play them on the easiest difficulty settings. And some of them just could never finish. And then as an adult... went back and played those games. Even recently, I've just finished both the 2 Dungeon Keepers, and it's like, well, I did them. Yeah. I completed the Dungeon Keepers. It wasn't too hard after all.
This is difficult for me because obviously I'm a bit older than you two, and kind of games wise, as a kid, for me it was more the arcade games.
Yeah.
And games particularly stuck in my mind, especially going on holiday down in Lou.
Yeah.
Was Battlezone with the tank, the original classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that used to infuriate me, like to no end. And you've actually got it on
I've got it on my arcade
emulator.
Xbox,
now, and it still infuriates me.
Yeah, because you die after like the second level.
And it's just so hard,
So
definitely that one. But a bit older, I suppose. Something Monkey Island.
Curse of Monkey Island.
Curse of Monkey Island.
Yeah, point and click games always break me.
Yeah, things like that. I think
you wanted to do Myst. I remember years ago.
Mist as well, Riven, Riven and Mist and stuff. And
nothing happens.
and I did actually kind of, because now you can get it as an app on, like, I put it on my iPad.
Yeah.
And I just haven't played it because it's just like, you're right, it's just so boring. Yeah. It's like, I do like puzzle games. I love puzzle games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my thing. Obviously, Lara Croft's Tomb Raider games, I've played every single one.
Yes.
And I love those. But yeah, there's certain games that are just like...
Any of the Marios or Sonic games.
Yeah.
We have just got a Switch in our house and it's absolutely brilliant, and we downloaded the Nintendo emulator thing for it, and it comes with a whole host of these games.
Donkey Kong.
Yeah, Donkey Kong, Excite Bike, Wrestling. I saw Super Mario Brothers 3 on there.
Yeah.
Now, I'd already done Super Mario Brothers on my arcade Xbox after not being able to complete it in fucking 25 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on Super Mario Bros. 3, and it's got a save function on it now. So I can save at the beginning of any level and then play it through. And I am getting destroyed. I have played Dark Souls. I've fought gods. I've destroyed universes. And I run along in a Mario game, and one of those little fish jump up and shrink me down, and then I slip off and I die, and I'm realising I've got to load it up all over again. And I'm like... Imagine what that must have been like for me when I was a kid. You know, I had 2 buttons on my Nintendo: off, the power button and the reset button, and that was it. No save function. And my parents...
We hear this all the time. The story of Ian when he's a child playing, that he had no save options and would have to
do the whole game in one save.
Game,
and when you got your parents who want you to go outside and make friends, and so they come in and turn it off, and you're halfway through World 4, 3, and you just want to stab them with the controller.
Yeah.
And then passwords came along and save functions, and so everybody has it easy.
Memory cards.
Memory cards. Yeah.
All right, next question's from Craig Hall.
Hey, Craig.
Hi, lads and lass. Nearly 2 full years of podcasting under your belts, and what an amazing job you've done. Thank you. Still my favourite podcast. Question: what are your favourite weapons from movies and computer games? Let's keep it to handheld weapons such as the boomstick, pulse rifle, BFG, as opposed to the exoskeletons from Aliens and Edge of Tomorrow, or massive cannons like the Death Star. Also, what are your preferred alcoholic beverages that you'll be indulging in this festive season? Peace out, Merry Christmas, and a happy Jim Beam to all of you and my fellow shelfers.
Nice.
So for me, the first thing that came to my head was Gears of War, the Gnasher, and then the Lancer, the chainsaw bayonet.
Just stick a chainsaw on a machine gun, that's brilliant.
And then you got Aliens, the smart gun, the portal gun from Portal, the plasma cutter from Dead Space.
That's an amazing weapon.
I love the Galahorn from Destiny.
What the hell's the Galahorn?
The Galahorn in Destiny, in the first raid, once you got to the final part. I can't remember who the thing was. The lore.
Is it Destiny a hand cannon? Is it a shotgun?
It is a giant shoulder-mounted homing rocket launcher, missile launcher that once it fires, it breaks off into like 18 smaller homing fragments that all explode on impact.
Yeah.
And there was a point where we needed... This was Nella. He was our sword bearer. Would go in there, smack the guy, which takes his shield down, and then then you needed everyone to just fire their Galahorns at him because it was locking on across the map, and you just take him down. So literally, we got to the point where it was like, we need the sword runner, and everyone else needs a Galahorn.
Yeah,
and so that was the weapon.
Nice.
Of course, they nerfed it for Destiny 2. Who gives a fuck about Destiny?
So a super rocket launcher,
and the holy hand grenade from Worms.
It's up there with the concrete donkey.
And definitely, as Ian will back me up on this, he knows that anything that's a sniper.
Yeah.
Right. So in Tomb Raider, I love bow and arrow.
Nice. Yeah.
That's my anything that I can do snipering with.
Yeah.
I don't like close. He knows I hate close combat.
Yeah.
I cannot cope with it. So take him out from a distance.
Yeah.
That's me.
Nice.
For me, in my head, I'm thinking, you said sniper rifle, and immediately I started thinking of the Farsight XLR from Perfect Dark.
Nice.
So it's a X-ray railgun.
Yeah.
And when you were playing multiplayer, you could change it to the alternative setting, and then just lock onto players halfway across the map and shoot them
through walls and
it was
annoying.
I love the nuclear missile launcher from Turok. You just fire.
Turok had some amazing weapons.
The cerebral bore in Turok was brilliant.
Yeah, the phantasm bore.
Yeah, the smart gun. It's just an amazing machine gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Our next question is from Jonathan McGonnell.
Oh, I love this question. Hey, Jonathan!
Have you guys seen Mark Hamill in Slipstream from 1989? If so, what are your thoughts on it?
Have you guys ever seen it?
No.
Oh, no.
Really?
No.
Okay, get ready to get educated.
Alrighty.
Man, when I was
Alrighty.
younger, my neighbour said to me, Ian, you're going to like this film. And she gave me a copy of this film called Slipstream. And on the front cover, it was just Mark Hamill's face, Bill Paxton, and some other British actor. And I was like, what the hell's this? It's basically Mad Max, right? But with planes or gliders. Really.
Okay.
The world in the future has been ravaged by tornadoes and hurricanes, and there's now just a massive, huge, like gust of wind going around the world called the Slipstream that people just
Used to
ride
transport, yeah.
to try around. But in the midst of this, there's an android who'd killed his owner or accidentally killed his owner. I can't remember, and he's being chased by Mark Hamill and his female sidekick, and they're bounty hunters.
Yeah.
And they're chasing after this android, and along the way they meet up with Bill Paxton, and the female ends up hooking up with him by accident. And Bill Paxton's wanting to make hot air balloons for people, and that's his dream. That's what he wants to do. But it's the fact that it's all gliders, it's a post-apocalyptic world, and there's this whole kind of Blade Runner-esque storyline going on with this android, because he meets up with this group of group of people who've been hiding out, living off all of their supplies, but they look down on other people who are trying to survive. And it was really, really good.
I'm gonna have to add this to my to watch list. I really want to see this now.
I have not seen it since the mid-90s. I don't know if it still holds up. I'd love to watch it again.
Yeah,
Maybe a future review.
Yes.
Yeah. It's an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Next question is from Wayne Milley.
Hey, Wayne.
How was the Thing board game, Ian?
Well, you played the first two games. I only
played the first one, and then I overlooked the next two.
The second one, and then I looked over the third one. The Thing won all three.
Of course.
People betrayed their friends at the table. They would sit next to each other, agreeing and telling each other that they're going to back them up. And then they reveal themselves to be the Thing, and you realise they've won the game.
Oh yeah.
The final of the third game was the best one, because the first two games, the humans never even made it to the helicopter. The Thing just won it.
Well, I put it down to the fact that a lot of people there didn't know each other, and a lot of people there didn't know how to play the game.
Yeah.
And so it was a case of learning who each other are, so that you could learn when they're lying.
Yeah.
That would make each subsequent game a little bit more interesting than the last.
Yeah, but after 3-4 hours of everyone playing with each other, that sounds weird. They got to the helicopter and they had to do the final part, and you have to choose a captain, and then the captain decides who to take on the helicopter, and you cannot take any of the things. You have to leave the things at the base, and all the humans have to escape. And the guy who was the captain, he took about 10-15 minutes to decide who to take, because he did not have a clue.
Yeah.
And he was like, he was going to have a mental breakdown. He was a first-time player, and he's just like, this decision, the fate of the world is in my hands.
Yeah.
And he picked the final guys, and one of them was the Thing, and he almost died inside. It's absolutely brilliant game.
Yeah, still enjoy playing it. Yeah.
Up to 5 players. You get a max of 8 players, but 5 players is a good number.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay, next question is from Rene Rodriguez.
Hey, Rene.
Hello, friends. My question is for Ian.
Oh, sweet.
What was the first movie you watched with Gary? And what was the first movie you watched with your wife, Linda? Did you guys like the movie you watched at the time? Thanks so much for the laughs and awesome reviews. Gracias.
That's hard.
No, not really. The first movie I watched with Gary...
It might have been House of a Thousand Corpses.
What was
It was in the living room of the shared house.
Yeah, I don't know if that was... Well, I wasn't really counting that as a movie I watched with you. That was just a group thing.
Yeah.
I think the major first one we ever watched, actually together, I think, was 25th Hour.
Could have been 25th Hour, yeah. Edward Norton, yeah.
You said to me
In
about going to the cinema and you were going to watch the
Had
film.
an advanced screening, yeah.
We'd watched loads of films with each other at that time, but with loads of groups of people. We'd done demons and horror movies and the House of a Thousand Corpses. I remember when we went and watched Serenity in the cinema with people. But it was always funny because whenever Gary and I watched a film, even with a group, we would just start talking.
Yeah.
You know, everybody else had just sat through an hour and a half and were tired and just wanted to go to bed and it was boring or whatever. And Gary and I sat there talking, oh, what do you think of that bit? Well, that bit was stupid.
Keep on talking for hours after.
You know, 2 or 3 hours later, people were like, you're still fucking talking about that movie. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
With Linda...
I don't remember.
We didn't watch anything the first night. And we certainly didn't watch anything specifically after that. I can't really remember.
I don't know.
I do remember the time that we came back from shopping one day. It was like 2:00 in the afternoon. We were making our way back, and Linda turns to me and she goes, "You know what I really fancy watching?" And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "American Werewolf in London."
Awesome.
In the afternoon, dude.
Yeah, it's a weird time.
So we put it on. And I remember I'm watching it, and I've just watched this guy get torn apart, and I hear the doorbell go, so I've got to go down and open this door, and there's a guy trying to sell me windows.
I got American Werewolf. Sorry. I'm sorry, could you believe?
I remember when we went to see 30 Days of
What
Night.
was the first film we saw at the cinema then?
I was just thinking maybe 30 Days of Night.
Josh Hartnett.
Because we came out and it was snowing, and that was freaking me out.
Oh God, yeah, that's right. It did freak you out, didn't it?
It did. It was fucking snowing. We just watched 30 Days of Night.
And it's snowing in Plymouth. Yeah.
Well, I've watched so many films with these guys, you know, my mind is just...
goodness,
So many, to go to the first.
So
it's
many.
impossible. Okay, next question is from M. Winslow Thill.
Hey, Winslow Thill.
Thoughts on the Netflix Castlevania series, i.e. the only good video game to screen adaptation? Well, mostly.
Okay.
Follow-up question, any chance of a Silent Night, Deadly Night review this holiday season? I've seen the Netflix Castlevania series, the first one anyway.
Yeah.
I think it was like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I think they were like 20 minutes
They've
in
done
length each.
season 2 now.
Season 2 has come out, it's on Netflix. I just haven't got to it yet. I thought the first season was very well done. Loved the art style, the animation, the music, the characters, the
Remind you of
dialogue.
the computer game?
Not so much, no.
Oh.
I mean, in bits and pieces, because the storyline in the games got really convoluted. And there was so many descendants of Dracula.
Yeah.
That it was hard to keep track of which one where I was in the timeline.
Yeah.
And I really can't remember that much of the first season. I enjoyed it, but wasn't blown away by it.
Was it anime?
It's an anime, yeah.
Right, yeah. I saw it and was just like, eh. I like Castlevania, the computer game. They're hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Basically. I do my best as much as I can, and then I just want to throw the joypad into the TV. I know the later ones have obviously got a bit easier, and you've got save functions, but it's just... I know there's this big gathering behind it, loads and loads of fans, and but turning it into a Netflix series, what are you going to do? How many seasons are you going to go? How many times did he defeat Dracula?
Well, it's every generation.
He's just going to come back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then Alucard's going to turn up. And,
and more weapons. And...
In all fairness, we've only just actually got into Netflix.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah,
So you've got quite a library to
Yeah,
work your way through.
we've got a lot of catching up to do.
I mean, I've just finished the Defiant ones on there, which was the story behind Dr. Dre selling his Beats headphones, which was an absolute amazing documentary. No, seriously, it's so historically good. You would enjoy it.
He's been watching a lot of historical documentaries on Netflix.
Andy and Jim with Jim Carrey, that was
that was amazing.
Brilliant.
Yes,
you know, and you know, I want to get into more stuff on Netflix, but I see something and I'm like,
You're channel surfing.
Yeah,
he does. Literally, he does. He will flick from one thing. It's so irritating.
You're going to have there's going to be little red bars underneath everything.
Like, oh my God, there's so much choice. I'm just going to go and have like about 2 minutes of each thing.
Yeah, and then turn it off and put wrestling on.
Yeah. As for Silent Night, Deadly Night review this holiday season,
we do have a horror movie up in store. Ready for Christmas.
We've
not that one.
Not at the moment. No, maybe. There's plenty of Christmases to come.
There's lots of Christmases to come.
So we'll consider putting it on the list. It is definitely one we've been asked to look at before.
You've got quite a Patreon list that you've got to get through.
That's right. That's what I was about to say. Yeah, I mean, we've got Patreons now that are, and if you're Patreons and you're listening, and your review that you've requested hasn't come up yet.
Yes.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We took the whole of October off Patreon requests just because we wanted to do the horror movies that we wanted to do this Halloween, October.
Yeah, it's what we do every year. Yeah,
exactly. But now we're like we have been like the other 11 months of this year.
Yeah,
just Patreon requests. That's all we're doing.
That's it.
So they are coming.
Yeah, I want to say to the audience, thank you all for obviously putting in your requests and donating to the show and keeping us going, and obviously putting forward your requests. Obviously, I know a lot of people do get maybe slightly annoyed that they put a request through on YouTube and then obviously it doesn't come up, and that's because we are working through these Patreon donation requests, which are obviously our core. Now people are like, yeah, but well, that means that you're selling out. Well, no, it just means that person is obviously wanting to support
the channel
us.
Needs the financial support right now.
We need the financial support, and I understand
priorities, isn't it?
I understand. Obviously, not everybody can do it, but if you look at a review come up and you think, "Why the hell have you done that?" Why have you reviewed Road to El Dorado? Or this film or that film. It's because there's somebody out there who really likes it, and they want to see a review of it because there is no review of it on YouTube or on the internet.
Yeah, so and we've opened the door to talk about almost any type of movie.
Exactly. I know a lot of people want us to do the classics, and they kind of want us to do it just off the back for free. But these people are obviously going to take priority because they're helping support us.
Yes.
But it takes time. We record. We edit, we have to run it past the system, then we have to get it up in line, and then sometimes we move stuff around because we're like, do we want to give them 6 horror movies in a row and then drop an animation, or do we want to break it up a bit? We've got a musical and then we've got a rapist movie coming up, maybe we should move that one around. They are on the list, they are ready to go, and we are working through them. So thank you all for all your support.
Definitely. And the last question.
I love this question.
It's from Jake Adams.
Hey, Jake.
Suppose Iain and Linda were to go vacationing to their favourite cabin in the woods, and Linda was supposedly to change into a deadite. What would Iain do? Keep up the great work, guys.
Well, I don't know who this guy is because he's only got one eye in his name.
So it's a different Iain entirely.
Guys, come on. It's in the beginning intro and the outro. IAIN.
He gets very irritated about it.
I know.
Sometimes it's just Gary's misspelling, but sometimes people put the name up there and I'm like, guys!
IAIN.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say that, but
LIAN.
Yeah, not Lane, for God's sake. I mean, it's not even an L. Ian, not E.
Anyway, honey.
Sorry, okay. Right, yes, if we were in the middle of the woods and Linda turned into a deadite and attacked me, I've always said, well, I'd have to go for the head.
Totally. We've always had this agreement since day one that, deadites, zombies, whatever, okay, if either of us turned, then headshot.
We have to take the other one out.
No questions, no hesitations.
No hesitation.
I mean, you would want to, but how many sequences in films have you seen where a loved one turns and it causes the death of others?
Yeah.
It's just not fair on everybody else. And obviously, families, it's just like, well...
You've got to be prepared for this.
Yeah. After watching Train to Busan, I'd be that guy out that door.
Yeah, they're freaking out and then it's too late.
Telling you to run and get out of here and stuff like that.
Have you got your zombie plan, Jake Adams? That is the question.
Yes. Oh, maybe that's the thing. Maybe we could write into the comment sections. If you got this far, we want to hear all of your zombie escape plans. If you're at work or if you're at home, if you're at family's house, could you kill your grandma?
You might just have to. Well, on that glorious note, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. This podcast will be going out the first Saturday of December.
Yes.
Will be the last podcast of the year. I believe in January or in December, Andy, Iain and myself are going to be recording the New Year's podcast. We will be discussing
our Christmas special, technically.
The highlights of 2018.
Yes.
But until then, of course, new film reviews on Thursdays. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, Iain. Thank you, Linda.
Take it easy.
Thank you, guys.